Recording and starting stream. We are live. Hello, hello. Welcome to the Statecraft series, episode 7. We'll be talking about Israel, Palestine. What the fuck did you... God damn it, McGuire. Anyways, Joosh is back for his retarded takes.
Let's go.
Yeah.
His base retarded takes.
Alright, one of y'all want to start it off?
I don't know. How do we start? Like, it's just like Israel, Palestine. Where do we start? Like, do we go all the way back to like when humans first inhabited it, and like, there's just been constant war for like thousands of years. Like,
we'll get into how they the UK fucked up everyone. England just screwed over that entire area.
Okay, let's dive into why the Israelis think they're justified, and then why the Palestinians think they're justified.
Okay.
And then we'll go on.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. So, the Israelis think they're justified because they have this book that was written a long time ago by people they're barely related to, say that they have claim to the land. So, there.
Yeah.
Relation is maybe stressing the meaning of that word a little bit.
Although you could technically also say the same thing for the Arabs who are in the region, because they all claim to be descendants of who is it? Ishmael?
Yeah.
Which was the bastard child of Abraham.
But I mean, you could argue that the Arabs have a stronger recent claim to the land because they did conquer it under when the caliphate was spreading out after Muhammad, started spreading Islam and things like that. Because they've been inhabiting that land since about the mid 600s to late 600s. So Arabs have been there for a while. So it's not too crazy to say that the people who've been living there probably have been living there for at least 1,500 years.
Yeah, and
but by that logic,
the Jews have been out of there before the modern state of Israel was established. The Jews were gone ever since their tax revolt in the Roman Empire, when Emperor Adrian came in and stomped them out.
Sure, and then
and renamed the region to Palestine.
But then England came in and took over that land, that little strip over there. So you can even say that they have some claim over it, and then from that claim, they dictated that Palestinians and Israelites should take that land together.
The main problem with this discussion is that everyone's claim to the land, the Jews, the Arabs, everybody's claim is based on conquest, because the Israelis are like, we have a heritage here in the Torah, and the Torah literally says that they conquered it from the Philistines and the Canaanites and all that. And then, the Arabs came in and conquered it from, I forget who was even there. It was probably the Romans, honestly, or, the Byzantines.
The Ottomans later
Yeah,
on.
I mean, yeah, and so, like, everyone's like, we have the legitimate rights to this land because of blood and treasure. And so, because of that, there's this tradition of we need to fight over this land. And so let's fast forward to today with the modern foundation of Israel, which is based on like the Balfour Declaration, which I think is what Sonic wanted to get to, which is, the British had the British Mandate of Palestine, and they kind of backhanded or in backroom deals to both the Jews and the Arabs offered a land in the same spot, countries in the same spot, and they made deals with both sides. Yeah. And now we're here today because both believe they have legitimate claims to the land, and they're willing to fight, and that's how that land has always been.
Sure, and I also think one of the other problems is that the other Arab countries around them gassed up the Palestinians so much, like, hey, let's fucking like take out back your land from the sea to whatever, right, river to the sea. Just gas them up so much, and now they have to fight. That's almost like a culture over there. While everywhere else, like everyone else, is being more peaceful towards Israel. You can look at Egypt, right? They had that war back in like the 80s or 90s.
Well, that's a little more complicated because Egypt is only allies with Israel because the United States got involved and basically offered aid and military assistance and economic trade with Egypt, and so did Europe in exchange for making peace with Israel because the United States does like having Israel there. So
Yeah,
Egypt was coerced, put it lightly.
yeah,
but
yeah.
they're not. But they're
I don't.
receiving benefits from Israel as well, which benefit Egypt. And so it's a
Well,
mutual.
now.
It's mutual nowadays. And if the U.S. stopped
Well,
existing,
now.
I think if the U.S. stopped existing, there'd still be that agreement between Egypt and Israel.
I don't
Maybe.
think, I believe that
Go-
Egypt only supports Israel because what other choice is there? If you don't, then you lose support from the U.S. and also you're probably gonna get sanctioned to hell, just like who was it, Iran. So it's
Yeah.
best for Egypt not to do that if they want to even survive and not end up
Well,
like Iran.
Well, not just that. Egypt recently is we've had kind of a cooling of relations the U.S. and Egypt have, and because of that, they've been way less amicable with Israel. They've actually, I mean, they have diplomatic relations, but they haven't really been talking. And it's funny because Egypt has been pushing in this war in Gaza. They've been pushing the Gazans more and more south, and Egypt is getting really, really nervous that Israel's basically going to push these people into the Sinai, and that's like the last thing or Egypt wants because Egypt has a massive it's a not massive but it's a big insurgency in the Sinai, and they don't want to push these Palestinians who are going to have Hamas terrorists amongst them into the Sinai and things like that, and just it'll cause problems in Egypt if they do that. So like Egypt and Israel have a really not good relationship right now, and neither does the US with Egypt.
Yeah. I think also one of the other problems is since they got gassed up so much, the Palestinians, that they do have this almost culture of we have to take back our land, my grandfather, great
Yeah.
grandfather's land or whatever, and that creates this problem where they elect Hamas leaders into their government to then enact this warfare against Israel, which then makes the Israelis think like, hey, these guys are fucking terrorists. We need to get them out of this fucking land so they stop bombing us. And then this continues this what people classify as an open air prison or whatever.
And the cycle of
So
violence.
Yeah.
there is an issue with this. So part of this does come directly back to Israel and the Oslo Accords. Israel recognized the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, as the I guess de facto or de jure government of both the West Bank and Gaza in the Oslo Accords. And that's problematic because the PLO exists solely as a terrorist organization, and they were open about this during the Oslo Accords. An official, I'm going to butcher this name, but Faisal Al Husseini, I don't know, I'm not Arabic, but he was a PLO official, and he openly admitted in 2001, and there are interviews with him from around this time too, where they make their position pretty clear that the Oslo Accords to the PLO were a Trojan horse, and the strategic goal, this is a direct quote from Memory TV interviewing him, the strategic goal of the strategic goal was the liberation of Palestine from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea. And this was an open secret at the time. In the 70s, the average Palestinian did not have much support for the PLO. Palestine, specifically the Gaza Strip, was economically on par with Singapore in terms of growth. And there was a massive wave of political moderate positions in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank that heavily favored making peace with Israel. The issue is that when Israel was doing the Oslo Accords in the late 90s, which is this what people call a reformation, the Israeli government recognized the terrorist organization that's an open terrorist organization rather than political moderates who were less vocal in Palestine, but who would have pushed for more moderate policy. So the impact of this is that nowadays, right, the PLO holds de facto power over, or de jure power over the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, which has been legitimized by Israel, but they're terrorists. So the Oslo Accords were a massive mistake. It was really Israel shooting itself in the foot in terms of pursuing peace, which you can argue was intentional. but the issue with this extremism comes down to this recognition of really the incorrect people who don't actually reflect the popular opinions of Palestinians, at least at the time that this recognition happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and the same could be said about Hamas too. Like the Israelis, I mean, it came out a couple of years ago that Israel was basically, unironically, like funding Hamas and things like that. And it's funny that you bring this up, Sonic. You were like, they keep voting for the Hamas to be in government, or for Hamas to be in the government of the, of Palestine and things like that. The thing is that they haven't had an election since like 2007 or 2008. And so the PLO has been, well, it's Fatah. They've been the party, which the PLO is part of Fatah, anyways. But they've been in power, but only because they haven't held an election. And the reason why they haven't held an election is because if they did, they would lose and Hamas would win. And so it's interesting because Hamas as it is the de facto government of not just Gaza, but like even in the West Bank, there's a lot of Hamas over there too. They're just more low key, and it's not the fighting wing arm, because Hamas is actually the fighting wing arm of some other political party that I forget the name because nobody ever talks about it. But so it's really interesting because people have been so radicalized, like McGuire was saying, like in comparison to like the 70s, because of all the stuff that's been happening, basically.
And it's interesting. This is reflected by sentiments from the Prime Minister of Israel at the time of the Oslo Accords, who is now, I believe, he received the Nobel Peace Prize for his role. I can't recall off the top of my head, but he's now recognized as a symbol of peace and unification because he was
Arafat?
assassinated. Yep. Or no, that was the PLO leader.
Oh, you're talking.
Rabin.
Oh, yeah,
Netanyahu.
yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
You-
No.
Netanyahu's still alive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. The Israeli Prime Minister, I'm spacing on his first name, but last name is
Oh,
Rabin.
yeah. The
Yeah.
dude who he had the song in his pocket when he died. That was so tragic.
Right. He heavily favored recognizing again these more local, moderate Palestinian authorities. It was his foreign minister, I believe, that pushed for the formal recognition uh, of the PLO, and so that's why the Oslo Accords took the turn that they did. So you can make claims that I guess the foreign minister and people like Netanyahu, who were in the government at the time and were playing a very active role in settlements and so forth, you can make the claim that they pushed for this PLO recognition because it justifies further acceleration, I guess, of the downfall of relations. But the big guy who people recognize as being behind the last major push for peace, even he doesn't like the idea of PLO recognition.
Yeah. So I think we're really getting into the weeds about like the specific party politics. And I think what Sonic really wanted to talk about was like who is right in this situation.
Is there genocide happening?
Which side is okay and which side should we genocide? And the answer is
Both.
yes.
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
But the major problem with this question, because this is inevitably what all discussions about Israel and Palestine move to, is that no side, I mean, this is how it is with geopolitics in general, no side is really correct, but both sides do not commit themselves in, they're not, I would say neither side is acting in good faith. And the reason why neither side is acting in good faith is because neither side has any interest in acting in good faith, because of what we were discussing earlier with how this all conflicts in this region are always determined by war, and it's a winner take all. And so both sides are in a struggle to basically dominate the other side by any means they can. And so Israel does good things by allowing aid into Gaza and things like that, but like the people of Gaza are like, great, thanks, but this is a shitty situation. Meanwhile, Hamas will drive up behind a school, fire a couple of rockets off, and then drive off, and all Israel sees is a bunch of rockets get fired from a school, so they're like, oh well, terrorists are in the school, let's go bomb the school, and then they bomb the school, and the Palestinians are like, well, fuck, the school's gone, and we didn't even fire rocket. They just bombed the school, and so it's like I don't know. Like I don't know if there is any solution to this conflict between the two sides. I personally think if there is a solution, it has to come from the outside, basically.
Like the U.S. or somewhere in Europe. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've listen. I can keep talking about this, but I mean, nobody's gonna want to do this. Like, but the only way I could see solving this issue is if we had like a multinational force of minimum America and plus some Europeans go in and literally like separate the two sides, and
When
then the
has
two
that-
You mean
sides.
a force like NATO?
When has
Yeah,
that ever
basically.
made things better?
When is what made
Worked
things
in
better?
Germany.
It worked in Germany. Okay.
Worked in Germany.
Okay.
It worked. Yeah, I mean that's the big one I can think
but
of.
the majority of cases is just kicking the bucket down the road, like looking at
I mean,
the Korean and Kosovo and Serbia. It's just
well,
like
well, how much fighting is going on in Korea and Serbia right now, in Kosovo?
just wait. Just wait.
Oh, just wait. Zero.
Well,
No, it's
I
working.
think
It's working fine.
a tense peace, a very precarious peace, is preferable to
Yeah.
what we have right now. I think
I don't know.
there's
I feel as if it is the responsibility of the region to restore peace to its own region, because that's the only way that truly long-lasting peace will arise. Sure, there might, because either way we're kicking the bloodshed down the road. If by us getting involved and just separating the two.
Yeah.
But-
How well did that work with Native Americans who were almost constantly at war and could never settle their own disputes?
Okay,
I
that's
mean,
just the nature of man.
So then
so, we should just try it.
you'll never have like true everlasting peace if without some sort of outside intervention. If you only leave it to internal.
So are you saying that Europe had to have like Africa and Asia go in there just to
Actually,
restore peace to Europe?
wait. Let's time out for a second. You're saying that like a multinational force can't enforce peace on its own. I would argue the United States single-handedly stopped wars in Europe just by being in NATO and occupying Europe after World War II. Like, there's not been a major European war until recently, but that was Russia, and that's a different animal. But like, there has not been a major war between Germany, France, and the UK since the end of World War II, and it's because the United States has occupied 2 of the 3 countries.
you can really make that argument globally. I mean, you look at you look at conflicts in the last 70 years, and predominantly it's insurgencies, it's small scale regional insurgencies that have large impacts, to be sure, but you don't have these international wars that were prevalent prior to 1945.
Okay, so is your argument purely that the U.S. is what's brought stability to the world?
Yes.
Yes.
Undoubtedly.
Okay.
Undoubtedly.
Okay.
Absolutely has.
I
I
wouldn't
wouldn't say that it's unique to the United States that something like that can happen. You have things like the Pax Romana that are examples of similar trends.
the Pax
throughout
Mongolia.
Right. Exactly. If you have a massive, the point is, if you have a massive, homogenous, all-powerful state that has it in its interests to maintain peace for economic benefit, that's what it really comes down to.
Yeah.
You'll get
That
peace.
sounds like just neo-imperialism.
Listen, I'm not saying we should do it, but that's the only way
It
this is gonna get
works.
solved, because
It works.
I mean and I don't think I'm just gonna tell you, Josh, I don't think we should do this. Like, I agree with you that we should let the US should pull out. I think we should pull out of NATO, but we should pull out and just let Israel and Gaza sort this out on their own. But like, bloodshed is terrible, and if people want it to stop, the actors on the ground are not going to stop it. They are going to keep fighting forever. Partly because the U.S. is spurring it on by supporting Israel, but that's a different issue.
So I mean, which is why there is bound to be a victor if we let it be. There is bound to be a victor there.
Until there's
And it
something
was
down the
very-
until there's something down the road where some like Syria might come in and just destroy Palestine after they kill Israel.
Well, and what you're arguing, Josh, is that conflict now is better than conflict later because I'm willing to bet you believe that future people shouldn't have to deal with the problems of today's people and things like that. But I mean, I always go back and forth on this, but why is the value of a life now lesser or greater than a life later?
So if the states right now, especially Palestine, is relatively weak compared to what it could be. So if we let these two states continue to develop and grow stronger, meaning they'll have more access to all kinds of weapons, the bloodshed from the following war in the coming decades will be much, much worse than
Maybe.
what it would be if we let it fight out now. For example, like
Maybe.
we have,
Keep going. Sorry.
for example, we already know that war in the Koreas is most likely inevitable. It's been that way since day one,
I don't
and
think so.
because
No.
we didn't just let the things. No, okay.
No.
I disagree massively. In fact, I would say conventional war is probably not going to happen because the North Korean army is so backwards and so undertrained and so under-equipped. The only reason why South Korea is not rolling across the border right now is because they would bombard Seoul into the ground, and South Korea doesn't believe that sacrificing their civilian population to win the war is worth it. But and the other thing is the nuclear weapons. Like if North Korea didn't have nuclear weapons, their position would be very precarious. It's literally the only thing keeping them going at this point.
Yes, which is why. Okay, the nuclear weapons and their artillery is their deterrent right now.
And maybe some
I'd
sanctions
argue
from
that it's not favorable.
and some sanctions maybe from the
Oh, go ahead.
West, right, for starting a war unnecessarily.
Okay.
Economic
But
repercussions.
what are the sanctions? We're already starving them under sanctions. It can't get much worse.
No,
for them.
no. I mean, under
It
South-
can
I
get
mean, for-
worse.
well, it can get worse, but I'm also thinking South Korea. If South Korea were to try to roll into North Korea, we'd probably sanction them to hell, which would
I don't
destroy
believe
them.
No, I
I don't.
disagree.
We would fully support them. We would fully
Yeah,
support
we-
them, give them weapons, as much funding as needed.
Yeah.
I think that the
I
bigger
wouldn't
issue is that
advise-
there's no benefit to South Korea for
Yeah.
a conflict. You look at the Korean War, the reason why it started, the reason why the North invaded the South in the first place is because the North is, to put it bluntly, a mountainous, rocky wasteland that has no agricultural value at all.
You,
It doesn't
okay,
have
that
any
is-
resources.
No,
either.
no, no,
Right,
no,
exactly.
no. That is completely false. That is entirely false. The North has more resources historically than the South did.
Historically.
Yeah.
Like the only reason now is that they haven't been able to exploit them. They haven't been able to exploit the resources in their own lands because they don't have the necessary industry, the necessary
Yeah,
tools to do so.
Does it matter how
Well,
much
they certainly
resource?
have a massive amount of.
It doesn't matter how many resources you have. It's how well you can utilize them, and the South utilizes its resources far better than the North ever has.
Well, and here's one other thing.
Okay, no, that's also
the
not
Sou-
true because in the beginning, whenever the two states before the Civil War and also immediately after the Civil War happened, the North was ahead of the South. It wasn't until the U.S. funneled a bunch of funding into the South, which they really began to pick up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
with money.
Sure,
Yeah,
but I mean that happened then, and today the South is way ahead of the North, and
I mean,
on
I
top of
wonder
that,
why.
well, okay. I mean, we can cry about history happening, but history happened. But one thing I want to say is another reason why the South doesn't want to invade the North is they would get this massive population that they would have to basically put on welfare, which the South doesn't want to do because the North is so underdeveloped compared to the South. So.
Yeah. No, okay.
Like,
we're getting off.
Well, and to kind of bring it back a little further to the Israel-Palestine conflict, because you were saying if the economy's developed, the war is going to get bloodier because it's going to be like World War I, where new technology allowed for greater slaughter. I'm guessing that's your thesis, basically, more or less.
Yes.
So that was true until nuclear weapons came about. When nuclear weapons came about, the opposite thing happened. The United States and the Soviet Union built weapons that could literally destroy each other many times over, and they have not fought a direct war since 1945.
Well, and
So.
I think the same thing exists in post World War One as well. There's this is why you see massive decolonization beginning in the 20s, right? And I'm not saying complete. Obviously, colonies persisted. And, the UK didn't get rid of Hong Kong and whatnot until the 90s, yada, yada, yada. But there's a movement away from imperialism and this idea of directly holding land because war suddenly became immensely, unimaginably costly with the advent of this industrialization. So there's a case to be made that as economies develop, war becomes more costly because you can produce weapons in mass, you can produce explosives in mass, machine guns, blah, 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 that make it literally unfeasible to wage even conventional war. And this is why you see a movement to globalization where instead of stealing or conquering resources you want, you simply build more factories than the other guy and what you can produce, and then you buy him out, right? I think that's a major trend that even existed in the wake of World War One. The issue that you see popping up in World War Two is isolationism that allowed Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan, especially, to massively expand territorial holdings unopposed, without threat of warfare, because other nations were too afraid to go to war. So it's kind of paradoxical, but if you have two nations that are willing to go ahead.
Was it not interventionism that caused those two to become, especially Japan, to become imperialist?
I guess technically, but
We caused that issue.
maybe. I mean, the Japanese also caused it by being imperialist and expansionistic, and we reacted to that because we did not want them expanding into the United States domain, because we had a lot of the Pacific. And to be honest, the reason why Japan fought the United States in World War II is because they were trying to. So like
because we cut them off. We cut them off of their oil. We cut them off of oil. We embargoed
because
them.
because
Because
they were
they're
invade China for oil.
because they were expanding into our sphere of influence. That's why. Like,
Yeah,
we did it,
why
but
did they
it's
start
because they were.
And why do they start expanding? Because they needed more resources. Why do they need more resources? Because we forced them to trade with us to begin with.
Why?
Right, but if you're
Why?
talking about
Okay.
oil is just, footnote. They didn't invade Nanking because of oil. They didn't invade, the Philippines because of
I
oil.
said
They're
they
doing this
attacked
for rubber.
the U.S. because of
Yeah,
oil.
that's what he was talking about. Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, I agree with that, but like they were expanding into our sphere, so
Yes.
go figure.
And I don't
figure.
disagree with our actions. I don't disagree with our actions to cut them off of their oil. But what I do disagree with is us intervening in the very beginning that put them on that path.
I don't know. I can't
So
excuse. I
it's
can't excuse
difficult.
what people did in the past because I wasn't there. So
But y'all were saying that interventionism is what solved Japan when it in fact is what caused Japan.
yeah,
No,
and it eventually got solved. You're right.
I'd argue that
problem. You're creating a problem, then selling a solution to that problem which you just created.
Yep.
It's
well,
retarded.
if I'm following correctly here, you're citing the oil embargoes, but those were in response to Japanese expansionism.
Yes.
It was
but
it was an isolationist policy that was to keep the United States out of war by placing economic pressure on them for imperialism. I'm saying that the ultimate issue here is that people were not willing to go to war to prevent this expansion. So nations like Japan and Germany took advantage of the power vacuum to expand their territorial holdings. My argument is that if you're willing to wage massive industrialized war, nobody wages war because you become locked in this sort of mutually assured destruction is maybe the wrong example because it's tied to nuclear weapons, but it's a similar idea, just on a larger, longer time scale. You get threatened with this massive economic destruction by way of the death of all of your nation's young. Which prevents war. My argument is that existed in the wake of World War One, but then you have the Washington Naval Treaties and you have isolationist acts and so on and so forth that drew the United States, and in Britain, in Europe there were similar policies that drew these countries out from being willing to wage war, and that's why that happened. I wouldn't argue that it was the oil embargo came in response to Japanese expansionism. Japanese expansionism didn't come in response to the oil embargo. Is sort of what I'm getting
That's
at.
not what I was saying. I wasn't saying that Japanese expansionism came in response to the oil embargo. I was saying that Japanese expansion came in response to us going over to Japan and forcing their borders open and forcing them to trade with us, which created their need to get more resources by means of expansion.
Is it not true that they would have done so regardless because it economically improves their status to have access to
Listen,
wider? Okay, go
counterfactuals
ahead.
are fun to play, but they're not. We can't rely on them. So
Well, sure, but I'd argue that it's in the benefit of most human societies to trade. There's a reason why we see trade so ubiquitously throughout human history. You get access to more resources, more materials, and so forth than if you don't trade. There's the reason for specialization and open markets, and there's a reason why people move towards those. So I'd argue that the pressure, regardless of whether or not a naval commodore goes overseas and woos a bunch of people in Tokyo in 1850, I'd
listen,
argue regardless those borders would open. But
listen,
I do
is
accept Alta's point.
Ricardo correct? Probably, but it's a counterfactual, so I'm not entertaining it. Denied.
Okay. My issue with that idea.
Mhm.
You don't have to fall for it.
Before,
Don't fall for the trap.
well, Japan was already trading with the world, except it just wasn't with the U.S. It was with, what was it, the Dutch East
Yeah,
Indies
there
Company,
was 6 Dutchmen allowed in the whole in all of Japan.
and they were trading with the Dutch.
Sure.
However, whenever we went over there and forced our borders open, we placed expectations which they needed to meet,
Yeah,
which meant,
it was Perry with gunboat diplomacy.
yeah. So they had to meet our expectations. They didn't have a choice.
Yeah, I mean, listen, are you right? But yeah, but at the same time, people later like here's the problem with nation states, and this is a different discussion in general. But I don't like nation states because you're telling me that people that I'm not related to are going to make decisions in my best interest, and then I have to live with those decisions. I don't like that, and so yeah, it was shit. Was it shitty of Perry to? Was it un-American of Perry to go in and force them to trade with us? Sure, but you can't fault people 60 or about 100 years later or 90 years later when they're faced with Japan becoming imperialists, them having to make decisions in response to that, which is why, to bring it back to Israel and Palestine, I don't fault the Israelis and the Palestinians for the fact that they're in conflict right now because of the Balfour Declaration and the Mandate of Palestine and all that stuff. The problem I have now is they are making decisions instead of trying to work towards peace because it's not in their best interest. Because they're not working towards peace, they're instead choosing war. I can't support either side because they're both making morally repugnant decisions. So I'm bringing it back to Israel and Palestine,
Yeah.
not Japan.
The original topic, yeah.
Yeah, we went down a rabbit hole. No, I'd be inclined to agree that they're both on a pretty horrible footing. I
Yeah.
mean, especially you look at the settlements, you look at
By Joosh.
I think okay. You look at settlements, you look at cutting off water supplies, you look at bulldozing crops and schools. I mean, these are acts of genocide, whether or not you want to admit it. It's erasing a national identity. It's without any sort of regard for civilian populations, removing necessary resources from them, people who don't have any alternative, right? It's purposely destroying food to try to starve out this entire group of people. I mean, it is genocidal. And I'd argue that there's horrible actions on the other side too. I mean, blindly firing rockets into Tel Aviv is also genocidal, especially if you're screaming, "I want to kill all Jews and establish a nation from the river to the sea." So I'd be inclined to argue that the solution is foreign intervention, and I think I would support foreign intervention. To be entirely honest, I think you can morally justify waging a war if it improves the condition of these people. And I think we have some limited responsibility to do so if we're in a position where we can help others. I mean, I don't know.
So
Go ahead.
it's too bad. It's too bad Joosh left because I mean I agree with you in principle, but I actually don't agree with you also in principle because I don't believe it is our responsibility to. I believe in self-determinism, and if the Palestinians want to self-determine themselves a state by launching rockets at Israel, feel free. And if Israel, I don't think we should support Israel, but if Israel wants to, self-determine by defending themselves against Palestinian rockets for their shittiness, I mean, they're allowed to do that. I just don't think we should. I don't think we should associate with either side because I don't believe either side acts in good faith. And if they could, I would be fine, but they don't, and it's very clear to me that they won't ever.
Okay. Do you think we have
Sure,
an
and I think at that
obligation?
point,
Do you think we have an obligation towards our allies, people who we ally with?
Only if we have a treaty with them, and I don't think we have a couple treaties with Israel, but I don't think we have that many, to be honest. I think most of the relationships we have with Israel is purely done through diplomatic channels, which is through the executive branch, and it isn't sanctioned by Congress technically. So it's not. I mean, it's not really. It's this kind of two-faced thing where it is the U.S. policy and it isn't U.S. policy at the same time. It's policy of the president basically,
Sure, but
and I believe
as a democratic nation like the U.S., don't we have an obligation as well to help other democratic nations?
no.
No.
I believe we only have obligations to those we have treaties with, and those treaties I only believe we should have treaties that are mutually beneficial to both equally. And I don't care about proportionality. Like I want equal, and since the U.S. is gigantic and nobody else is, everyone else can get fucked.
I disagree with
I
that.
think at some level, yeah.
Go ahead.
I don't believe all democracies are good. Anyways,
Elaborate, Sonic.
Elaborate on what?
about why
your
you
disagreement.
believe we have an obligation.
To help other democracies. Well, it's about
Yeah.
spreading our influence. We want other nations to be aligned with us, and usually those other nations are democratic. You can look at most of Europe, right? At least Western. You have Germany, France, UK, Poland, etc. Right? These other nations are democratic. We have an obligation to protect them as well as other democracies to, in a sense, spread influence. Good influence, you could say, instead of fascism, communism, socialism, etc. Right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I still disagree. I don't really like democracy, but I believe in hard self-determinism. So if you're hell bent on being fascist, go get him, brother. You wear that little mustache as hard as you want. Just don't expect me to want to hang out with you at parties. And if you try to force your will on me, I firmly believe that we
Well-
should give you an ICBM with a MERV package to the face.
Well, isn't that
that
the
should be
problem though? The more fascist nations or socialist nations want to force themselves onto either democratic nations or opposing sides. They force themselves, whereas democracies, for the most part, don't force themselves like that, like how monarchies did with World War One. They don't force themselves.
Yeah, I firmly believe in MERV special delivery diplomacy, and that is if you mess with us, we'll just nuke you. And the United States has plenty capacity to do that. So
Sure.
I don't see why we shouldn't just make our position clear and I'm willing to bet there'll be one country that will be like, oh, those pussy Americans won't do that. We should just nuke the fuck out of them and be done with it. Like, and let people know we aren't here to fuck around. Don't fuck with us, or we will turn your country into a wasteland.
Yeah, but
Like,
then
I don't like I don't care.
it's good to have allies in other parts of the world. That's a good thing to have.
No, our allies. The only allies that don't drag us down is the UK, the Baltics, the Baltic states, Poland, and I I can't think of anyone else, to be honest. Like everyone drags us down basically. Like
Oh,
I don't
that
know.
Polish conspiracy showing. Pole accent
Listen,
here.
listen. I've been to Poland, and those people are
Oh, he's
love
been to Poland.
America.
He's been
No,
paid
they love
off.
America more than they.
He's been paid off.
He's been paid
Well,
off.
I am part Polish, but I don't give a fuck about Poland. I've just been there, and they pull their weight. You look at the NATO military expenditures. Poland is like number 3, and Estonia is number 4, and Latvia is number 5. Like, like
Coincidentally, the people who've had to live
I'm,
under a certain
I'm not.
nation's rule.
Yeah, I'm not pulling this out of my ass. I'm not like.
Well,
Listen, this is what day that what's his name sent me, Donald Tusk. It's nice, but like, I'm being also legitimate.
NATO isn't just military; it's also economic as well.
No, it's military. The EU is economic. Like, there's nothing economic about NATO at all.
Okay.
There's literally nothing. Like, I mean, there's economic stuff, as in we have like diplomatic relations with other NATO
Like free trade
countries,
instead
but
of
that's a secondary
tariffs.
thing.
Like we have free trade with our allies in NATO.
We have free
Unless you're
trade with.
Turkey and you want to free trade some F-35s.
We have well, yeah, but that's because they would sell them to the Russians, so we
Right,
can't
but
trust them.
you know the point is that the economics only go so far. It is
And we have
limited.
free trade with non-NATO allies. We have free trade with like Japan and Australia, and they're not NATO.
Sure,
Like-
but we consider them allies opposite of NATO. There are
guess,
there are
but,
allies.
I mean,
they're allies, and
there
we support our
is
allies.
zero. There is zero. There is zero. Okay, we have trade with countries that aren't in NATO or military allies either,
But they're
like Indonesia.
these other places are considered U.S. allies. If one of them were to get invaded, the U.S. would intervene in some way, either militarily
Okay,
or
what is-
economically.
Well, okay, that's great power theory, and that's a different thing altogether. That's a different discussion. My question to you is, what do you consider an ally?
Someone who
Because
well,
Thailand is not democratic, and they are an ally.
good standing within the U.S. Economically or militarily in some way. Like with NATO, it's military might, but with Japan and Taiwan, it's more so an economic benefit for them to be an ally compared to
Okay.
China, where they're like a quasi ally kind of thing, like a pseudo ally, but not like full blown, full on.
What? China is not an ally. Not even.
It's pseudo.
I'm
It's
gonna
a
take, I'm
it's
gonna take my
pseudo.
song-
It's pseudo. Like it's a fake
There
alliance.
is
It's fake alliance. It's pseudo alliance of some kind. Like, hey, you don't fuck with me, we don't fuck with you, but we'll work with each other as much as we can, kind of thing.
Well, technically, it's moving in the opposite direction. Mexico just surpassed China last year as the biggest trade partner of the U.S. in
that.
terms
Okay,
of-
that is a very, very, very broad term of ally. In like almost all countries on Earth fall into that, except for like Russia, North Korea, and like Uzbekistan.
Oh yes, Russia, North Korea,
Yeah,
and
there's different
Uzbekistan
there's different
probably aren't
kinds.
allies.
So there's different kinds of allies.
No,
There's different kinds, right?
No,
like that's
I'm
how there's
gonna- I'm
military and
I'm gonna
economic.
tell you what. I'm gonna tell you what an ally is.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you what an ally is. An ally is someone that will go to war on your side, and that is a vanishingly small number. Even NATO doesn't technically fall under that, because every time the U.S. has done a NATO Article 5, I would say legitimately. So the other, I agree with the other countries not going, but the other most, like during the 2003 invasion of Iraq, we did it at Article 5, and only the Brits, the Poles, and the Spanish went,
Canada, maybe? Did Canada go in?
and the Canadians.
Yeah.
But it wasn't NATO. Like they're like
But they're an ally.
it wasn't NATO.
They're a military ally.
But they didn't do anything, dude. That's what I'm saying. Like, an ally is someone that goes to war on your side, and they didn't go to war on our side. So, like, I don't really consider them an ally because they didn't go to war with us on our side.
Article 5 has only ever been evoked in response to September 11th, not Iraq.
Well, that's what I mean. It was
Okay.
well, I mean, we invoked Article 5, and then we kind of implied like, well, that was kind of, this is why I said earlier, it when we invaded Iraq and we said, oh well, that's an Article 5. That's why I was like, oh well, I agree with the other countries not going, because that's fucking horseshit. Iraq had nothing to do with, like, everyone in 2003 knew Iraq didn't have anything to do with 9/11 at
Yeah.
all.
Well,
and
yeah, I
stuff
think
like
that's only really the only people I've heard like conflating that are like 14-year-olds on Instagram who have never actually read a history book.
No,
I
it was a big thing because we demanded everyone, like the French were very like, it's funny, after 9/11 the French they were very supportive of the US, and then when we invaded in 2003, it was one of the reasons why France wanted to leave NATO again, and like they're kind of iffy about NATO is because they were like, listen, we'll go to war on your side, but like this war had nothing to do with what you're saying. You just want us to go fight your war for you.
I've never heard any official uh how would you say, I guess, allegations that that Iraq had anything to do with 9/11.
I mean, I I'm pretty sure Colin Powell said so in that Lars thing where he said they had anthrax and things like that.
Right, the WMDs, that didn't have anything to do with Iraq though. The policy on, or excuse me, with 9/11 though, the policy on Iraq had been in place since officially Clinton. Clinton, I don't remember the bill off the top of my head, but I believe 1998, Clinton formally signed an act that announced that it was the United States' intention to see the end of the Iraqi government because it was very unstable and it was a massive destabilizing entity in the Middle East since, you know, even before the Gulf War. Obviously, I mean, you have the Iran-Iraq War, but the Gulf War was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. And then since that point, you see no-fly zones enforced over Iraq throughout the 90s. You see routine, massive airstrikes from, you know, the U.S. Navy and allies against Iraqi targets in response to downing of aircraft, violations of no-fly zones, and so forth. And then eventually, you see this as a actual foreign policy goal. That happened prior to 9/11, and then the Iraq War after 9/11. The big thing that everybody talks about is WMDs, which is true. The U.S. government cited that as one of the causes, and it's openly acknowledged in declassified documents and whatnot that there was reasonable belief that there weren't any WMDs on account of the United States destroying all chemical weapon stockpiles during Desert Storm. But the Iraq War was a long time coming. It was a completely independent event from 9/11. It was specifically to oust the Iraqi government because Saddam was a dictator who wanted to mess with that sweet oil money.
Okay, well, anyways, my point though is that like the only time Article 5, okay, to get back to the point on what an ally is, because Sonic's definition is too broad, is I believe it is firmly an ally is someone who will go and fight on your side and during a war, and so far very few countries seem to actually want to go do that. So are they really our allies? I'd say no.
Okay. I mean,
I don't know. I think yeah.
I disagree with that, but
Well, you do love overly broad. You love overly broad definitions, so
unlike personhood, which is easy.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a different discussion though. Is a Palestinian fetus in the womb is it okay to be aborted by an Israeli missile?
Absolutely. 100%.
Only before 20 weeks, according to Sonic.
Only before. As
Well,
long as
the
as long
Geneva
as it doesn't kill the
Conventions
mother.
say-
As long as it doesn't kill the mother, it's okay.
Jesus fucking Anyways, yeah, I don't know, but I definitely do not consider Israel an ally,
Okay.
and especially as of late, I do not think of them. I haven't thought of them. They've always kind of played both sides of the Cold War, which I mean is in their best interest to do so,
Yeah.
and that's their right to do. But I don't think that makes them a good friend. They are definitely not our greatest ally.
Well, maybe not the greatest, but I'd still classify them as an ally of some kind within the Middle Eastern sphere, just like how Egypt's become an ally of ours.
Well, I mean, Well, okay, so again, like the only reason why we like Egypt is because of the Suez Canal. If the Suez Canal didn't exist, we wouldn't give a fuck.
Yeah, there's an economic
Well, a wise
benefit.
man once said, "I don't."
Wise man once said,
Right,
"What?"
as a wise man once said, I don't care about the historical reasons. I wasn't there. I can't account for that. But it is what it is now.
Yeah,
Yeah, Delta Sword.
but they have an
Yep, I'm putting that on my tomb.
economic benefit. We have an economic benefit from the Suez, so they're an economic ally of ours instead of a military ally, which is what you're describing, which is someone who will go to war for us.
I would prefer economic partner, trade partner over ally because Egypt would sell us out. If it was in their best interest to sell us out, they would. Like
Sure.
a friend does stuff because it's the right thing to do, not because it's easy.
Well, okay. There's a difference between an ally and a friend here. I mean, not to sound like Kissinger or
Oh, true.
anything, but um, all morals at a national level are bendable at some level. I mean,
Well, yeah, there are only interests, there are no friends. So I agree
yeah.
with that. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm very skeptical on the U.S. in our current frame, not just with like the rest of the world, but like in the Middle East and things like that. Like, I do not trust that Iraq is working in the interests of the United States, and I think they're working with Iran. So I think we should. I don't see why we shouldn't be supporting their government anymore and things like that. And it's the same with Israel. Israel all the time steals intelligence from the United States and sells it to Russia just because they can earn some money off it, basically.
So by extension, if you think that ties should be cut with these nation state actors, do you think an economic actor like Toshiba stealing classified CAD
Yes.
files for submarine impellers, do you think that they should be sanctioned by the U.S.
Yes,
too?
we should blacklist Toshiba. If you have a Toshiba television, we're gonna nuke it. I agree with that.
Oh no, yeah, complete agreement here. But okay, interesting.
No, listen, I'm in it for me, baby. So like, get the fuck out of my way. I don't give a fuck.
I don't know. I guess I'm the only one here. Just
Fair
like
enough.
no sanctions, free trade. Do whatever.
No, listen. I agree with free trade, but it has to be free in both directions, and it can't be. It can't be. I don't think it's.
Well,
Listen.
you'd say
I
any
have
interactions free trade, right? Like if I'm I buy your motorcycle from for $1,000, there's a free trade in that, right? If another country buys some resources from us for $1,000 or so, then it's free trade.
Well, okay, so yes, I agree, and the U.S. But the problem is that like we don't really live in an era of free trade because the U.S. is so omnipresent across the globe, and maybe it's for the best or whatever, but we're so omnipresent across the globe, and our policy doesn't impact who is and isn't in power and things like that, and we do have wide-reaching geopolitical impacts and things like that. So I
Mhm.
don't really believe we live in a time of free trade, to be honest. Like
Well, yeah,
the EU
I would
only.
agree. Just because we sanction the shit out of so many nations that I don't think we should be sanctioning. So
Yeah. I mean, listen, if we stopped doing all that, I would be more okay with that, but
yeah,
it's not how we're doing it.
yeah, and I
I
just
think that there's a inherent paradox to free trade or any freedom, right? You can't have freedom without some sort of government because freedom is only freedom insofar as it not being oppressed from you, not being taken from you, right? So there has to be some authority in place to ensure that that's not happening, because in our abortion argument, for example, right? Um, there are individuals who can't protect themselves, who can't defend themselves. So there is necessary rules and regulations in place for that. So freedom fundamentally on its own is really an idealization, right? I mean, there is no true freedom. There has to be some sort of authority in place for freedom to exist in any reasonable capacity, and that contradicts freedom to some extent. And I think that those concessions have to be made um, to attain anything close to freedom. And so, when we're talking about international trade, I think that it's good to strive for, no sanctions, no interference, no whatever. But on some level that's not possible. I don't know. It looks.
I personally believe that the majority of people are not psychopaths, and they don't really need laws necessarily to. They don't need the violent enforcement of government in their daily lives, and we can expand this out to nations and things like that because people make up nations and things like that. The problem is that there is a small minority of people who do awful things, and so we do need the force. We do need that force of government, but I don't think we need I would not be okay with a one world government. I would want everyone to have their own self-determinism and things like that, and it should just be free consent between peoples basically.
Yeah, I think that edges closer maybe to a true freedom. But yeah, I'm not arguing that everybody's a psychopath. To be sure, not everybody I walk past every day is a rapist, but it's definitely nice to have,
that layer of protection.
those laws in place. If I get bent over one day, right?
Well,
I mean,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, my argument is that even though maybe most people aren't, maybe you don't constantly need an authority hounding over you, that authority still needs to exist because ultimately there are ill actors who do act against fellow man to very poor effect, and there's limited recourse for that for certain individuals. Not everybody is armed. Not everybody is a fit, very capable adult male or whatever, and so it's necessary to have protections in place that can defend those who cannot defend themselves from that minor subset.
Police are
Maybe
good.
I think maybe I don't know. I'm very not I'm not comfortable with the cops as they stand right now, but that's a different discussion. But when it comes to like everyone being armed, there is, I mean, except for like literally mentally infirmed people and maybe you could argue children and things like that, I don't see why the majority of people can't be armed, why they can't protect themselves. And not to make this a individualistic argument, I don't see why I don't see why most ships on the high seas can't be armed with enough weaponry that if a pirate crew tries to come and take their boat, they can't just fight off the enemy pirate crew themselves. Or why they can't like hire private security, or like even like if we want government, why can't the U.S. just like the U.S. patrols the high seas, but why doesn't I think it would be better for the U.S. at the very least if we just patrolled our ships and things like that. If your ship is flagged under our nation, U.S. The U.S. Navy will protect it, and that would also spur on people wanting to flag under the U.S. and things like that. But that's a different discussion.
I think that's edging towards a broader topic that I'm a
Yeah.
little interested
Yeah.
in, that I've tried to explore a little bit myself with some reading and whatnot. But
Wednesday topic question mark.
right. I don't know. I think to a certain extent, as a society, human societies exist to better the status of everybody, right? I mean, if you want to take Locke, for example, I think I like Locke's generalization in what is it, his second treatise on government. You go into the woods, you build a house, you farm your land, whatever, horrible, bad, all day labor. You're strung out, whatever. But then one day somebody else comes into town who's really good at building houses. So now you can focus on being really good at farming the land, and great. Now you have a good house and he has good food and everybody's happy. And then you start building from there. And then government comes in as sort of a force of arbitration, necessary evil to prevent one person from enforcing tyranny onto another, and so on and so forth. What I like about this is that I think it gets to the point that human society exists to the benefit of its substituents. It raises up its substituents from whatever status they might have if they're alone, if they're isolated, and it makes everybody's life better. And so to that end, I think if we have the ability to protect other people from being boarded and violated by pirates and stolen from and whatever, I don't see why, if it doesn't make a meaningful difference to us, why we shouldn't protect them. I think that is the purpose of human society, and if you're gatekeeping that, you're kind of being antisocial to a degree, and I don't like that trend. I think that that sets a bad precedent for society at large. I think we should strive to help our fellow man as much as we can. And then this links back to what we were talking about earlier with interventionism and whatnot. If you see the senseless violence that can never feasibly be solved without one side completely genociding another and erasing them off the face of the earth, in Israel and Palestine, I think that there is a moral obligation for another power to step in and intervene if that's the only way to end this conflict without, ultimately a genocide. That's what it comes down to: complete genocide of one people or another, whether it be Jews or Palestinians or whomever. I think both are disagreeable, and I think that there is that moral obligation in place. But
Okay, I mean that's a fair point, and I mean and it's funny because like I listen to Tim Pool and he's like, he'll always make the argument of like, oh well, you don't care, you only care about Israel and Palestine because it's the hot thing right now. What about Sri Lanka, or what about Myanmar with the Rohingya genocide and all this stuff? And I'm willing to bet you would say, yeah, we should also go over there and stop those. Would you agree with that?
yeah, to an
Yeah.
extent, I think that there's a
As
limit.
best as we could, as best as we could.
Yeah, you shouldn't be deploying 2 or 3 carrier strike groups to every
time.
corner of the world. I mean, granted, theoretically, I guess Vietnam saw 2 or 3 carrier strike groups deployed continuously for a decade. I mean,
It'd be really good for the military-industrial complex. They'd be building carriers like hotcakes.
Well, and then from there, that raises up the American people. I mean, I don't know. This militarism thing is sounding pretty good. I think we should be bragging about this.
We're gonna live in
boys.
the 40K universe. We're in the 21st millennium. There is nothing but war.
Exactly.
But so that's well and good. I don't think it's practical, because maybe you could get away with it like in Israel and Palestine, but for a little while. But one reason why I don't think it works is I don't think long term, especially the American public, is interested in interventionism for decades on end. Like, we're only okay with it with Europe because I'm gonna be honest with you, when we did it, they were white and we're white, and so it's fine to help out whitey make white face bread. But nowadays America is like, I mean, when you look at Iraq and Afghanistan, like we were there for 20 years and the countries were getting better, but like eventually people are just like, why are we here, man? Why do we care? Why do we care about even like before we pulled out of Iraq or Afghanistan, excuse me, in 2020, was it 2021 we pulled out? I think so.
Yeah.
But like it was like from 2019 to 2021, which is when we started having the drawdown, there was like a total of like 3 bombings that killed like US troops and things like that. And there were like, I think from like 2016 to 2021, there were like, it was like under a dozen guys were killed in that whole time. There was like a 9-month period where nobody died, and like it was the first time in literally decades. So, but America still was like, we're gonna pull out, we don't care about this anymore, even though the conflict had basically died down and things like that. So if we do commit to going into Israel and Palestine, it's only going to last maybe like 20 years tops, and then we're going to leave, and hopefully they stop fighting by then. But I think it's like a 100-year project. Like, I think the only reason why Europe doesn't fight today is because the US is still there, and if we left, they would go back to fighting.
And I think as far as morals go, I think that racism, the American public being racist, is a poor justification for not doing something. But I do agree it is a practical concern, and I think that should be addressed. The first obvious solution is what's the UN doing? I mean, this is what the UN exists for. But UN peacekeepers are very infamously horrible.
They're even worse than the warlords they're trying to stop from most of the time.
Exactly. So I mean that's not a solution, but I think maybe looking at an organization that would draw from the entire world like that actually works. If that is something that could be possible, that might be a solution to these long-term peacekeeping projects. But like you said, I think it is a big concern. These are long-term projects. You can't. The issue here is ideas, right? the Palestinian people and the Israeli people, I'm reluctant to say Jewish because Israel isn't homogeneously Jewish, but the Israeli people do have these ingrained ideas in their head about what the other side is, what the other side deserves, and even
Well,
if
both
you
sides
know
are
the
like that.
exactly, and even if the genocidal aspect, the vocally genocidal aspect, is only a small minority, it's still normalized to the point where the entire societies are to some extent or another complicit in this. So what you need to do is you need to eradicate this idea, and I think that means stabilization, right? In the 1970s, there was stabilization, right? Polling, like I said before, in the West Bank was very favorable to King Hussein of Jordan. About 70% of polled citizens in the West Bank preferred King Hussein in Jordan to the then current leadership of the PLO because of the economic prosperity they were seeing, and they were favorable to peace accords and so forth. Um, so obviously, if you can stabilize a society and allow it to grow, it looks like that might be a solution to helping change these ideas. But you need that long-term prevention of violence. The other alternative that works very well in American history, especially, is just genocide, right? Just like the Filipinos, if you throw them in enough camps that are brutal enough, 20 years later, they're going to love you. I mean, all you got to do is make it horrendous enough to hold any joint Israel-Palestine ideas, and they'll be favorable to it, right? I mean, this is what you see. So you either need to be ready for a long-term commitment that spans multiple generations, so then these ideas can naturally die, and people can grow up in a society that is stable, that they feel supported in, that they want to encourage the further prosperity of, or you need to directly kill the idea. And I think directly killing the idea through, Filipino-style concentration camps is a bad idea. So it is definitely
You
a
don't
question
literally believe in 1984?
no, not at all. That is a funny footnote, by the way. Everybody says concentration camps and they think to Nazi Germany, but
Well,
concentration camps. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, that's the thing. Everyone thinks when you say concentration camp, they think of like a death camp, like Auschwitz, and it's like no, Auschwitz is. I mean, Auschwitz wasn't even where they would kill people. It was Birkenau where they killed everyone, which is technically was part of Auschwitz. But like, yeah, people fuck up concentration camps. Like,
Well, so
it's not a death camp.
Technically, there is overlap. The original definition of the word was the Spanish version. The Spaniards used it in Cuba in the 1890s, right? And this was one of the big pushes for American intervention. They'd concentrate, there's your source, political dissidents in a horrible camp until the political dissidents stopped being political dissidents, which normally means them dying. And then the United States thought was effective. So when they took over the Philippines a couple years later, we employed them in the Philippines, which is very funny because, again, it's normally seen as this whole antithetical to America thing, but we have a very rich history with using them. And then,
I mean, the reservations were kind of concentration camps, really, really, really big concentration camps, but
right. And then, moving ahead, you have internment camps, right, during World War II that are by definition concentration camps.
literally.
Yeah. So there is a very storied American history with concentration camps. That isn't Band of Brothers liberating American heroes.
Didn't that never even really happen? That was like a dramatization of like them liberating a POW camp. I don't know. There was, anyways.
I know American troops happened across and it was a thing, especially in the wake of the war. They would force German villagers in adjacent communities to go through the concentration camps. Yeah. Right. Which I think before anybody gets any ideas, I believe the Holocaust did happen. There's indisputable proof, and that wasn't a Jewish conspiracy for all American soldiers.
Wait, pause. You're not a part of the "it didn't happen, but if it did, they deserved it" crew.
Yeah,
crazy.
Exactly. The Jews are horrible people, but they definitely didn't die. Oh no.
Yeah, they definitely deserved it though.
Yeah, it's not like Hitler rose to power on anti-Semitism and advocacy for destroying the Jewish people. No.
Yeah. Anyhow, I mean, I agree with you in your analysis of how it's gonna have to be done. I just disagree that it could be done. I don't think anyone is interested in staying in there. I mean, the British fucking left after, and they were there for like almost 100 years. So,
Mhm.
I mean, arguably they caused it by leaving and promising both sides, and we're having this conversation right now because of that. But like,
Fuck the Brits. Yeah.
I mean,
This all goes back to
I
the Germans.
but well,
Yeah.
and the Brits are the Germans because of the fall of Rome and Anglo-Saxon. Yeah,
This
it's the
all goes back to
Germans.
the
It's all.
Germans.
I mean, like, anyways, but like, I just don't see it as practically happening, and I don't know, like, this conflict's gonna go on for forever, and it will only stop when the people who were fighting die.
But they'll be replaced. They're replaced right now. I mean, look
Yeah.
at Palestine's
Oh yeah.
population demographics and look at the number of children, with their
Yeah.
headbands and yeah.
In the open source server that we're all
Mhm.
on,
Yeah.
I remember one of the guys posted a picture of a kid who was like violently shaking because I think he just like a bomb went off near him or something, and he was like just so adrenaline rushed and things like that. And he
Mhm.
couldn't have been older than like 4 or 5 at the most. And I'm just sitting there thinking like this kid is like literally going through some of the early formative years of his life with like war and things like that. And
Mhm.
I wonder what that does to the psychology of people, if like the reason why like the Hamas fighters flew in on the parasails is because they grew up like in this culture of like war and violence, and getting bombed, and their buddies or their family and friends going out and shooting missiles. And I don't know how
Mhm.
this conflict will stop, because it feels like the culture is just like more war, basically.
Yeah, I think you can see this in like contemporary Americana too, with like the Lost Generation and so on. There's deep scars from warfare, that really reshape what a person is, and I think that has lasting impacts on a society. And here you're obviously seeing, everybody is affected. It's not just here's 80% of your male population who just got sent off into some overseas territory to serve in a trench for the last 4 years. This is the entire society. Nobody's escaping it. This is their homes, right? On both sides, right? I mean, you have the Israelis on the other side too. It's not to the same effect, obviously, but you have Israelis who, for their entire lives, the last however many years, have grown up with the Iron Dome, air raid sirens, being ushered into bomb shelters on a daily basis. You have in the fallout of the Oslo Accords. You have mass suicide bombings across Israel by PLO fighters, right? So on both sides of this fence, there is a deep scar, deep psychological scar of the war,
Yeah.
um, and I think that pervades. You hear a lot about generational trauma and in terms of like abuse, right? Somebody hits you, then you end up hitting your kid, and so on and so forth. The same thing happens with politics, I think, and
Yeah.
it'll pervade for forever and ever. You'll have your periods of liberalization where you have things like the Oslo Accords, but those will ultimately be undermined by some guy in the foreign ministry who is a Zionist who believes that the West Bank should be occupied and wants to have a cause to go in there with the army, say, hey, maybe we should recognize the terrorists to kick this thing off again. And then you'll have the same cycle repeat again in 20 years.
Yeah.
And yep.
And it's interesting because Israel has compulsory service
Mhm.
for everyone except for I think the Arabs don't have to compulsively serve, and there's some ultra orthodox
Mhm.
sects of Judaism that don't have to serve. And it's interesting, and this isn't to say that everyone who serves comes out thinking rah rah we need to go fight the Palestinians, because I've seen plenty of like documentaries where former soldiers would like there's a tour you can take that by former Israeli soldiers who like show you like all the awful things that Israel does and
Mhm.
things like that in the West Bank. But like it's funny because the two biggest groups that are against the war in Palestine are the Arabs, who don't have to compulsorily serve for
Mhm.
a variety of reasons. I mean, go figure, they're not going to make the Arabs serve. But the ultra Orthodox Jews, who also don't live in the areas that typically get bombed by the Palestinian rockets, so they don't feel the effects of the war either directly or indirectly. And so it's a wonder that they don't really care about the war and actually want to stop, because they see it as like a massive waste of their money and things like that. So
Absolutely.
You have most Palestinians who would say genocide is the Israelis, and then you have the people in Israel where most of them would be like, "Can we just fucking stop already?"
well, no, not now. I mean, I've been looking at the polls, and the majority of Israelis actually do want, they do agree with fighting Gaza or fighting Hamas. And
Well,
I
yeah,
mean,
after they got
every
attacked on
day it
October, right?
inches.
In October, they got attacked, so then you're at this point they're defending
Yeah.
themselves.
Well, it's like America after 9/11. We were out for blood.
Yeah.
So but it's
But we didn't have that
I
fear
yeah.
of being genocided, whereas the people of Israel, if they don't don't do anything, then they're gonna get genocided. So it's a kind of different. They're
Well,
not necessarily out for
well,
blood.
in
It's
Israel,
I don't think they're out for blood.
well, in Israel is like, it is the Jewish state. It was founded by the Jews, and the Jews are an interesting people because their whole tradition is of persecution, because the Torah is full of them being persecuted by God, by the Babylonians, by the Egyptians. And then we have all of European history, where, I mean, the Europeans were pogroming the Jews every 5 minutes just because someone farted in front of the king and things like that. And then you get to World War II, where a significant portion of the the global Jewish population, because a lot of Jews were in Europe, was killed off. And so, like, you have this people that, like, they've literally just, like, gone through literal millennia of, like, persecution. They're gonna, when they finally get their own state and they get attacked by people, of course they're gonna be like, this is fight or flight, or, I mean, we either live or die by fighting. So
Yeah,
I'm
and
not surprised by that.
I think when it comes to Palestine, that is absolutely the case. Where if they don't do anything, they will be genocided, and not just the kicked out and go somewhere else, like actually killed, genocide.
Yeah, I mean, I I do believe that Israel has a right to exist. I don't like how it came about, but we can't go
Sure,
back and change history.
yeah,
So we're stuck with what we got. But
but do y'all think so? When people say genocide, they usually mean mass bombings, like indiscriminate, etc. Do y'all think that there is a genocide happening of mass killing of Palestinians indiscriminately?
um okay, so I don't think it is direct Israeli policy to kill off all the Palestinians, but they certainly are very loose with how with how they're doing things and how they've always done things. And the Israeli military likes to pretend that everything they do is very precise and calculated, and we're only attacking the people who bombed us. But it's like with the example I said earlier, with, like, the Israelis bombing the school. Like,
Mhm.
they'll bomb a school, they'll bomb a hospital. They don't really care.
Well,
They're not trying to kill everyone necessarily, but they're doing things that I would say are, like, adjacent to genocide.
it's funny that you bring up the hospital because because when they looked into the hospital thing, it was a Palestinian missile that malfunctioned and didn't even blow up a hospital. It just hit the parking lot and couldn't kill anybody, didn't hurt anybody.
No, I'm not just talking about that hospital. I mean,
Yeah,
Israel has bombed hospitals in the
sure,
past and things like that. And it's because
but
they've shot rockets. But
well, it there's also been like actual like stores of ammunition or other stuff. Hamas
Mhm.
has been known to use human shields, which you don't want to like let that happen because then that sets a bad precedent for other groups that might want to use human shields. So you got to disregard that altogether and don't blame Israel for the human shields that Palestinians are using, that the Hamas is using. You gotta go against
well,
Hamas for using them
it's
in
a
the first
shitty
place.
it's a it's a shitty situation all around,
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
you're right. If Israel doesn't do anything, other people will do that. But the problem is that like, Hamas is doing this because they know that Israel will either do something or don't, and they win either way. Because if Israel does something against them, and Israel does, and they do bomb the human shields, Hamas will turn around and say, "Look at the Israelis bombing innocent civilians and things like that." That Hamas used as a human shield, but that's like the Israelis are
But
playing into that. So
but I
there
mean,
is no perfect
there
solution.
but the problem is they're not really playing into it because it's a lose-lose situation. Either they do it and they kill these civilians because they have to, or they don't do it and they get bombed to hell because the human shields. It's a lose-lose
I mean,
situation.
okay, so
And
I'm just gonna say this real quick. Today, like, I agree that Israel is doing what it has to do, but like his conflict has been going on for so long that like we kind of forgot that there was a time where the Israelis for the first time bombed a hospital or bombed a human shield and things like that. And like today, sure, but there was a time where that wasn't necessarily the case and things like that. I definitely think if Israel had in 2000 because they've been blockading Gaza since 2008, I think things would have been different if they had stopped the blockade and things like that.
I
So
mean, I think we'd see a lot of
I think
these problems die down if exist at all. If Palestine would stop, like if the other Arab nations around them, like Syria, would stop gassing the Palestinians up for a river to the sea, and if there wasn't this culture of warfare, and if they just stopped for several, like maybe 10, 20 years, then there would be some foreign intervention to be like, all right, what the fuck are you doing, Israel? Fucking stop.
maybe, but it is pretty easy to get gassed up because like Israel does occupy, like they occupy 2/3 or something of the West Bank,
Yeah.
which is crazy because under the
But
Oslo agreements that should have been before the Oslo agreements that should have been,
yeah,
Palestinian land and things like that.
but then Palestine tries to attack Israel, and then Israel takes more land as like reparations for the
I mean,
attack that they're defending themselves
I
from.
mean, if you're getting invaded, you're going to fight back. And the Palestinians, I think, do feel like they're getting invaded, whether rightly or wrongly. I mean, the thing is, like, we're trying to come at this from a objectively moral stance, but the problem is that there is no objective morals. The Israelis
Yeah,
feel justified, and the Palestinians feel justified, and that's
yeah.
how it is.
I mean, yeah, they both feel justified. And I do agree that Israel's not completely in the right because they shouldn't be occupying. But at the same time, if they don't occupy and they don't try to solve this some way before they end an occupation, then Palestine is just going to attack them once they become a free state and then set up that river to the sea one state solution.
This is why way earlier in the conversation I said I do not trust that either actor can that the actors as the game is being played now can come to an agreement that is mutual.
Yeah.
I don't think it's possible.
Sure. And then having these foreign
There's
powers to intervene could benefit.
Yeah, but that's not like I said earlier. That's also like I hate to blackpill everyone here, but this conflict is just going to go on forever. Like
And
it,
so
it's not going to stop.
the only real solution, like if you don't want bombings of like human shields to be used, the only way to stop that is a full ground force of Gaza, like a full ground invasion of Gaza and other Palestinian.
Or we blockade both and they both starve to death. Problem solved.
Here
I mean,
we go.
well, but I mean, like you're right, Sonic. Like a full ground invasion from the U.S.
Not even
would also
not even,
stop that. And
well, not from the U.S., but from Israel. Israel, instead of bombing and not using their ground force as much, if they just, the way to stop is full ground force of all of it. But then it's a straight up invasion.
Well, this is a different discussion. And here's the thing: Israel can't invade, and they are trying to right now, and they are doing a very poor job because the Israeli military is actually not that good. They're okay. They're not bad, but they're not that good. And the reason why is because of the Israel geopolitical situation. Their forces are basically forward deployed at all times, so they have no endurance for in-depth deployments. Like the U.S., we can have a fire base in Afghanistan on the other side of the world, and those guys can be jacking off to internet in their fire base and like have running water and things like that. Meanwhile, the Israelis, like, they deploy 20 miles into Gaza and they're like almost exhausted. They're almost out of ammunition. Like, they're begging us to always send them more stuff because they just don't have the material to fight war because of how their military is set up, basically.
I think this starts to edge into another major challenge with, the Gaza Strip especially. This is a massive built up urban area that's home to
Yeah.
millions of people,
Yeah.
most of whom, especially under the current conditions, have been rendered extremists who
Yes.
are on some level supportive of this. So you're talking about fighting an insurgency that has been deeply ingrained in the society for literally the better part of 100 years, that has been building up weapons stores, that has massive sympathies in the population, and
Yeah.
has massive stores of fighters who are willing to shield them. It's going to be an IRA situation, really. You can look at how a small-scale insurgency played out for Great Britain in Ireland, in Northern Ireland, and then you can extrapolate that to a country that has
And
such massive support from massive military
in
powers like
Ireland,
Iran.
and
Oh, go ahead.
Ireland is not even that dense, and the Brits still could not find out where the IRA was hiding. Like, and the problem with with the current fighting right now on the ground in Gaza, people are saying, oh, the Israelis are winning all the time and all that stuff. But when you
Mhm.
actually look at the fighting, they literally will go down like one street and they will take fire from like 50 different buildings at 50 different times. Like, guys will crawl out of sewer grates and stuff and shoot at them. Like, they say there's only 4 battalions left of Hamas fighters. I don't believe that for a second. I think I think they're like a huge portion of the Gaza population is they're not in Hamas, but they're sympathetic
Yeah.
enough that if a Hamas fighter gave them a rifle, they would go into a sewer grate, fire 1 or 2 magazines, and then leave. Because that's like what they're doing. They're just like firing a couple magazines and then leaving.
And I think this is really touching on the intricacies of urban warfare as a whole. It's enormously difficult to
Yeah.
deal with insurgencies. I think a great example of really how you can successfully do so is Chechnya. In the Second Chechen War, Russia's solution to the massive insurgency in
Level
Grozny,
Grozny. Yeah.
exactly, literally kill hundreds of thousands of people in a massive artillery bombardment, because there's no way you can destroy such a massively ingrained insurgency in these societies. I mean, we're talking about uniformed military forces fighting an ununiformed enemy. That's naturally going to incur civilian casualties, no matter how you go about doing that, because there's such a degree of ambiguity there.
Yeah.
And now you have to contemplate with the fact that these military forces are reliant on armored vehicles, on trucks, on cars, etc., versus insurgents who have, tunnels, who have free passage between buildings, etc. It makes the Israelis
And they
very
know the lay of the
vulnerable.
land. They know the lay of the land so hardcore.
Exactly. It makes the Israelis enormously vulnerable, and this really becomes a Grozny situation. You look at the Russian army going to Grozny in the 90s, in the early 2000s, and the moment a tank rolls into the city, 20 RPGs just blast through its roof. There we go, one tank down, another follows in, and just fire from everywhere, right? There's no
Yeah.
way to stop it without just indiscriminate fire, really. So it's enormous. It's an enormous challenge that I don't think is really feasible for the Israeli military to handle, as Delta's mentioned.
Yeah. I definitely think that so like the reason why we deployed those carriers down there is because we wanted to make sure that if like Hezbollah did anything, or if Syria did anything, or Iran did anything, there was a force there to like react to that. It was, it was a deterrence force basically. But like, I do not see Israel being able to do a full ground invasion and a full ground occupation on its own of Gaza without like support from the U.S. Like direct on boots on the ground, like American military patrolling alongside Israelis, which that's not going to happen.
Absolutely,
So,
and even in that case, that's the wrong way of going about it. I think, because it's using military force to try and forcibly eradicate this insurgency, which is never going to work when
yeah.
it's so deeply ingrained in society. you need to be open to humanitarian aid. You need to not be an invader. You have to be somebody assisting, right? Hearts and minds and all that.
Yeah,
Not to
literally, it's literally about influence. It like you beat an
right.
insurgency not by body count, by getting people not to support it anymore.
Exactly. And Israel, going in, cutting off water. You have these settlers who are bulldozing crops and so forth. They're doing the exact opposite
Yeah,
of what needs to be done. And you can say, okay, Israeli settlements are largely unofficial. Israel didn't approve official new settlements until 2017. There was a 30-year memorandum, but that's the issue, right? Now they're approving new settlements. They're now rearming settlers who were unarmed for the last 20 years. They're now extending support to these individual entities that previously were acting of their own volition, but now there's a legitimization of what is literal techniques of genocide, right? Wiping out
yeah.
food, wiping out water, wiping out education. Um,
I wouldn't say genocide. I would say ethnic cleansing, because ethnic cleansing, you don't have to kill anyone technically. You just have to
sure.
you just have to make it so they don't want to live there anymore, and
I
you do that
suppose, yeah.
by cutting off food and water and healthcare, and you bomb them occasionally to make them move and things like that. Like Israel unironically ethnically cleansed northern Gaza. Like
I'm
that's what they
I'm
did.
not sure I would call. I think it would still meet the criteria for genocide because what it's accomplishing is the destruction of a national identity. There's no way that the
What
Gazans.
national identity, McGuire?
Okay,
Palestine didn't exist before 1948.
okay. The perceived national identity. There we go.
No, I was being facetious.
I know. But no, I think Israel knows that the Gazans aren't going to be allowed anywhere else. Inhabitants of the West Bank aren't going to be allowed anywhere else, and the PLO has made perfectly clear sure of that, right? There's a reason why Egypt doesn't want them. There's a reason why Jordan doesn't want them. There's a reason why Egypt and Jordan weren't upset when the West Bank and Gaza were seized from their respective holders
That's
in
their
the
problem now.
right, exactly. In the wake of the Six-Day War, right, you see the Sinai Peninsula return back to Egypt, but not the Strip, right? The reason why is because the PLO are terrible guests, right? They made many attempts on the Jordanian prime minister's life and eventually killed him. Apparently, I've heard rumors that the assassins licked his blood off the floor, which is kind of metal,
Nice.
but
Nice.
but they made attempts on the king of Jordan's life too, and this was in the wake of conflicts that made people think that Jordan and the Palestinians were amicable to each other. But the PLO is very insistent that they want the complete destruction of the Israeli state, and that wasn't a policy that Jordan was aggressively pursuing, nor is it a policy Egypt was aggressively pursuing. Right? You see peace accords, and you see these tense pieces, but pieces, and the PLO does not accept that. So, if the PLO gets pushed into Egypt or if they get pushed into Jordan, they're just going to start an insurgency there, like Delta said before, because they're very dead set on the destruction of Israel and, by extension, the destruction of any country that supports Israel to any degree.
Yeah.
So it's not going to happen. I think it's a genocide. I think I would classify it through and through as a genocide. But
Uh-oh. Sonic disagrees.
There we go.
We can't
Okay.
hear
we
you.
can't hear you, bud.
I turned off my mic, yeah.
Oh, there's your beautiful
yeah.
voice.
Yeah, thank you. I don't think there's a genocide going on.
I'll just
no.
mute you when you're talking to your girlfriend.
No, I can just press a button right here and then it'll turn it off. So
So we have the three kings of the conflict. We have McGuire with genocide, Delta with ethnic cleansing, and Sonic with it didn't happen, but if it did, they deserved it.
yeah, fuck the Palestinians. Yeah.
Well,
Ah,
Anyways,
just one last thing on the whole topic of like because I listen to Ben Shapiro and he says, "Oh well,
oh boy.
yeah, I know I want to kill myself," but he says, "Oh well, we should Israel should just push them into the Sinai, and Egypt should just settle them in the Sinai, and that should be okay." And it's like, well, one, the Sinai is literally like one of the most arid deserts on Earth.
Right.
Like, I don't think there's any crops that are grown in the Sinai at all. I don't think it has no water or anything. And then two, the other problem with that is that there's an insurgency in the Sinai right now, and it's not small, and so if you push the Palestinians, who have a fuck ton of insurgents in there, you'd just be making that so much worse. Oh, what
Absolutely.
is this, Sonic?
What is
Are we gonna
this?
hard segue from genocide to fast food? Yeah,
you
this
know
is a
what?
real discussion.
I know how to bring this together, right? We should genocide fat people. There we go.
Yeah, I'm server muting you,
Wow.
and
In
you
my
can
own
talk on
server.
here.
In my server, that's crazy. Anyways,
I think 5 minutes ago, probably
Actually,
a
that's not
minute
a good
ago,
idea.
there was likely a Palestinian child who died in an airstrike, and I'm sure that they would have wanted us to enjoy conversing about American food options.
Their last thought before this airstrike is, "Damn, I wish I got a chickie fillet before I died."
true.
At least they're not open on Sundays.
On
Hey.
Muhammad's day.
I'm Muhammad.
Okay.
In another server, I had sent I had said something. I was like,
Oh, go ahead.
I don't remember exactly what I'd said, but it was like, I took a picture of like the cake and the cupcakes my fiance had made, and I was like, I'm sure a Palestinian child would love to have this. I'll give it to the starving Palestinian children in Gaza. And then I was like, how insensitive on Ramadan too. Like, I'm sure they'd fucking appreciate
Right.
that.
There's a very terrible Serbian song from the good old days. How did the lyrics go? I think it's an insult to the leader of Albania. I think at one point the lyrics go that no more golden wheat is grown in some Albanian town because the wheat fields were burnt by Serbians, and then they ask why the Albanian leader is upset. And go on to inquire how many Ramadans he thinks he'll make it through, which is just horrible. I mean, you're talking about starving people to death, and you're over here like, well, it's an
Wait,
extended
Sonic.
Ramadan.
But
You can't start doing this.
yeah, I can. It's my it's my podcast.
No, fuck you.
Yeah. No, I think we can agree for the most part on
It's
this.
our podcast. I've never had Cane's or whatever that is, or I've had Domino's.
All you have to
Domino's
know
is
is that
trash.
it's dry as shit.
No, it is not
Domino's is
dry.
as
No,
garbage.
no, fuck y'all. No,
Oh.
these two things are fucking.
Domino's is trash.
Fuck you.
Like,
Domino's
I'll
is
agree
the
with that.
best.
Maximum.
No,
I will come to your house and fuck your foot.
okay, you can do that. I don't fucking care. Domino's is fucking compared to every other fucking pizza place. Domino's is easily the best.
No.
How many restaurants have you eaten at?
Me?
I mean,
Okay, real quick. Actually,
let's
wait. How about this? Before we do anything, let's go down a list and see what restaurants all three of us haven't eaten at
Okay.
first.
Okay.
So, A&W, have we all had that?
obviously.
I think once.
Arby's. I've never had Arby's.
I've had Arby's.
I've had Arby's, yeah.
Never had Baja.
Many
Baja
times.
Fresh.
I've never had it.
Nope.
I have had it.
You have.
I've had it. Blimpie, never had it.
Nope.
Never had it.
Bojangles.
Never.
Nope.
Never had it.
Boston
Whatever.
Market.
What's that? Boston.
Boston Market. I don't.
Nope.
Burger Queef, I've had that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've all had these except for
I've
you
had-
didn't have these. Delta.
I haven't had. Yeah, I don't have those. Carl's Jr. had that.
Yeah. Checkers.
Yep.
I've also had. What's it called? The southern version of Carl's Jr. But I've never had Checkers.
Never.
I,
Yeah,
I've,
neither have I.
I have.
Okay, Chipotle had it.
Yeah.
Churches.
Never had. No.
I've
never.
had it. I have. It's a big Louisiana thing.
That's
Cookout,
that's a
never had
southern
it.
chicken place, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Louisiana. Yeah. Cookout.
Okay. Interesting.
Not had.
Never.
Nope.
Nope.
Never.
Culver's. I have.
Hell yeah! Come on,
Daily.
that is
Daily.
best.
Never had
The best.
Culver's.
Daily.
Okay, there we go.
Del
I
Taco.
Del Taco had it.
Yeah. Denny's.
Denny's had it.
Yep.
Actually, funny thing about Denny's,
DQ.
one of the there was our nearby Denny's, a sign fell down and it fucking crushed someone's car.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for that person though.
Don't worry,
DQ had it.
they won't be feeling anything anymore.
Jesus Christ. El Pollo Loco had it.
Firehouse subs.
Firehouse. Yep.
Never.
I have Five
Guys.
Guys.
I love
I've
Five
had
Guys.
Five Guys.
Yeah, me too.
IHOP had it.
Yeah, In and Out.
Yep.
Yeah, Jack.
Had
Yep.
it.
Jersey Mike's.
No.
I've never had Jack.
I have Jersey
Yep.
Mike's.
Nope.
Yep.
Yeah, Jimmy John's.
Jimmy John's. Yes.
Oh, of course.
I have not.
Jollibee. Never.
Never.
Never had
No,
it.
Never.
KFC.
Never.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I've had it. Yeah. Sorry.
Little Caesars.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Long
Yep.
John's. Yes.
Nope.
No.
I have.
No.
I have. I'm the only one. Okay. McDonald's.
Yeah. Nope.
Yeah, I've had it.
I have.
My parents wouldn't let me have that as a kid.
I grew up on it.
Moe's. I've never had. I've never had Moe's.
Noodle Company.
Noodles.
Yep.
Panda Express. Yes.
Yeah. Panda Express. Yeah.
Panera,
I have it.
yes.
Okay. Yep.
Papa John's. Yes.
Of
Yes,
course.
I have eaten at a hospital. Yes.
You know, funny
Yes.
story about Panera Bread. California just passed a bill to raise the minimum wage for fast food workers to $20, unless the fast food restaurant has a bakery. And guess what? Fast food restaurant is qualifies as having a And
Panera.
guess who Governor Easton's golf buddy is?
The CEO of
Wow.
Panera.
Panera.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So there you go. Panera is the only fast food company exempt from California's new minimum wage law.
PDQ. I've never had that.
Never.
Neither have I.
10. I've not.
10. No.
Nope.
Pizza Hut. Yes.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Popeyes. Yes.
I've had Popeyes.
I have not.
Portillo's.
Portillo's. I don't know what that is.
No.
Portillo.
Don't they have the chocolate shakes where they put an entire chocolate cake in it? Isn't that a thing?
Ew, that's disgusting.
That sounds
Never had
delicious.
Hot
looks
Belly.
weird.
Hot belly. Qdoba. Yeah.
Qdoba,
Yeah,
yes.
I've had Qdoba.
Yep.
Quiznos.
Quiznos, yes.
Never had it.
Never had it. Roy Rogers.
Never.
Never.
Nope.
Sparto.
Nope.
Never.
Where are we at here? Schlotzsky's. I actually have.
Schlotzsky's or whatever.
I've
Nope.
had it. Yeah.
Nope.
Okay.
It's a thing in the South as well. The
Interesting.
Nope.
Shake
no
Shack.
Shake Shack.
Nope.
Sheets.
Nope.
No.
Skyline.
Nope.
Nope.
Subway.
Nope.
Yeah.
I have. Swenson's.
No. Nope.
Taco Bell.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
I've had it. Sorry, my bad.
Taco
I've had
Bell.
it.
Taco Bell.
Nope.
Taco Bell.
Nope.
Taco Cabana. God. I've not. Torchy's Tacos.
Nope.
Waffle House. Yes.
Yes.
Funnily
the
enough, no.
best. You're
Uh,
missing out.
Wawa.
Apparently.
No.
No.
Wendy's. Yes. Whataburger. Yes.
Wendy's nuts in your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please, Daddy.
Unfortunately.
Whataburger. White Castle. Yes, actually.
Yeah.
German word.
No.
Nope.
Wings. Over.
Nope.
Nope.
Uh,
I haven't had any
Wingstop.
of the last two.
I've actually had
Yeah,
Zaxby's.
neither have I.
I have a Zaxby's nearby. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, so let's get started. So first and foremost, at the top of the best tier of the best tier, I will go to die Waffle House at the top, 100%.
All right. How about this? We
I will
each.
tell you why.
Hold on. Before I
No,
continue.
wait. No. I'm gonna give you an argument as to why.
No, I was
Waffle
gonna
House
say something
is
else.
not just a fast food restaurant.
Yeah.
It is a cultural experience of what America should be.
I was gonna say that each of us will get one vote to overseed anyone else. So, like, if for let's example, if y'all did Raising Cane's at F, I could say, like, nope, I'm using my one time. It is the best, and then that's it.
Okay.
So we'll do that.
Okay.
So I'll put these back down here,
well,
other than
anyways.
Culver's, because we both said yes.
Culver's has to stay there. Oh,
Culver's.
absolutely.
So are we?
I
I've
think-
never had it. So
I'll stay
I
with
don't know.
this. That's why I'd stay in the best. Anyway,
Starbucks,
Starbucks.
garbage,
Yeah,
garbage,
absolutely no. Okay,
fucking
no, no.
garbage.
Hold on, I got this. Admiral below.
Yeah, make one specifically for Starbucks. Make it below. Yeah. It needs to be the Starbucks tier.
Starbucks.
Yeah, it's fucking terrible.
So A and W, I
Okay.
have had.
Like C tier.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Arby's.
F.
F.
Well, I mean, if you've ever gone to college and you've ever dated a girl at college, you've eaten Arby's.
I'm ranking this based off
Um,
of the other places that I've had in this list down here, and compared to.
Also,
Hmm.
Arby's is D tier.
I'll concede D.
I'll do D, I guess.
Slimy. Good for
Yeah.
loosening up the insides.
I've not had
Yeah,
Baja.
all Arby's is there to practice is to allow you to practice eating a girl out who's been.
I
railed.
realize what your joke was now. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
she's been railed out like a dozen times. Yeah.
She got that roast beef,
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
She got that roast beef,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Baja Fresh.
Okay.
What are y'all thinking?
D, they're not good. My
Okay.
mom had an obsession of eating there when I was a kid, but not me.
Burger King.
I actually like
D.
this is controversial, but I like their fries more than McDonald's. So I would say C tier.
I like the
just because
McDonald's
their
fries
their
more.
fries.
I actually like the McDonald's fries more.
Mm,
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll do D tier.
What is it called in the South?
What? Carl's Jr.?
Keep going.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
I
what's
mean,
it called? I because I've eaten there too.
there's two Carl's locations. There's like Carl's Jr. and there's regular like Carl's kind of thing.
What's it called?
We have Carl's Jr. in the South. It's not
No, Hardee's. That's what it's called. I've eaten at
Hardee's.
Hardee's too, which is owned by Carl's Jr.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call that I wouldn't call that a South thing. It's just we have both in the South.
No, I know,
Really?
but Hardee's was in the South first, and then Carl's Jr.
Came later.
like took it over.
Yeah. Anyways, what are y'all
Yeah.
thinking? I've not had it in years.
C
See,
tier.
above A and W or
They're not.
below it?
Yeah, they're a little bit better than AW, I'd say.
Oh yeah, let's go ahead and do these real quick.
But
Okay.
yeah, Baja Fresh at the last, and then Arby's because you need to practice.
Yeah. I don't need the practice. I'm already an expert. Checkers. I've
Never had it.
I'm not the only one.
No.
All right.
Yeah.
I think it's decent. It's decent.
Okay.
Decent
Below
middle
A
of the
and
road.
W.
Below. You think below? You never had it.
It's below D.
You've never had it.
I'm just going off the logo here, man. I think.
Well,
No,
No.
that's not how that works.
No.
Oh, I don't know. This feels like a tyranny to me. I'm gonna have
Uh.
to stage a revolution.
You're gonna use your one time to put it right
Okay,
below A and
Chipotle.
W. Chipotle.
Okay, Chipotle is garbage unless you're drunk, and then it is fucking amazing.
I don't know. Chipotle's normally pretty all right. I mean, aside from the
it's-
salmonella.
There
Well,
we go.
and it's expensive as fuck.
Oh,
Like
that's
it's
true.
it is way over. Like when you're drunk, you don't give a fuck. So
Hold on,
like
are you saying overpriced?
no, well, Starbucks is its own thing.
Yeah. Uniquely terrible.
Yeah. Well, a lot of things are overpriced, but they're okay. Like I said, Chipotle is overpriced, but when you're drunk, you don't give a fuck.
There we go. That's better.
I'd argue this entire list is overpriced. I mean, eating
Well,
out
yeah.
at all.
Yeah, eating it. Well, I mean, I agree. So overpriced garbage, I agree, but I've
Okay.
never had churches, so
I have.
Yep, neither have I.
Jeez. Okay. Above Carl's Jr.
Reasonable.
It's the middle of the road
Reflective of my
chicken.
experiences.
It's middle of the road chicken. I've had better chicken places, but I've also had worse. Del
Fair
Taco.
enough.
I've not had Del Taco.
better than
Well,
Baja Fresh.
That's everything other than Starbucks. You need to be more specific.
Well, yeah, like I would say it's below Burger. Well, no, I would actually go to Del Taco before I went to Chipotle.
Above Burger King.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, Burger King should be in front of Chipotle too.
All right. Denny's.
Denny's is fucking amazing. It's like
Yeah.
Waffle House. It's like budget Waffle House. So
There you go.
yeah, D tier.
DQ. Ice cream, fantastic. Their burgers,
A-
fucking
A
subpar.
tier. Yeah, best tier.
Hold on.
So no. Okay, A tier.
No,
Just because of the ice cream.
I don't know. I mean,
So I will go to fight for DQ because when I first got into motorcycling, my group that I go ride with, we would ride and we would ride to Ice Cream and then we would eat ice cream in the parking lot on our motorcycles.
So
and
we're not.
We were like the coolest people ever.
So we're not
basically.
rating we're rating the whole menu, and their burgers,
Oh,
like the
okay.
burgers are shit. I'm gonna be honest. They should just stay an ice cream place.
Okay, yeah.
So
yeah,
they can't.
I agree.
Their ice cream is better than everything else. That's their mainstay. But
Yeah.
because we're also rating the burgers, they're shit. They're fucking terrible.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
They're
They're called Dairy Queen, not
yeah.
not
They're at least B. Yeah. So that's fair. Top of B.
Okay.
Yeah. Pollo Loco.
It's
I've not had it.
It's C tier. It's C tier, but the end of C tier.
End of C tier.
Yeah.
Firehouse
My
subs.
grandpa, before
Oh.
he died, we ate there once, so I
Okay,
have like a kind of a fond memory of it.
that's nice. So you're biased.
Yeah. What are you gonna do about it?
Suck your dick. What? Firehouse subs.
Nice.
Yeah.
Never had it.
I have. Have you had it, McGuire?
I have. Yeah, they're kind of F.
F.
Damn.
Yeah. We'll go with F.
Okay.
It's overpriced for what it is.
So is everything else here. Minus
Okay,
maybe
but
like
yeah,
It's
well-
uniquely overpriced.
minus maybe like 2 things on this list.
But they're one of those places that like does like a meat sub or some crap,
Yeah.
and they'll charge you like you're getting a fancy dine-in sit-in steak, even though you're just getting a fucking 6-inch sub with an ungodly amount of very fatty fucking beef thrown on top of it,
I do
coated
like
in
Yeah.
barbecue sauce. So
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Uh,
Five
Guys.
Guys. Mid C tier maybe.
Right below Carl's Jr., you think?
that's reasonable.
Yeah, I definitely would go to Carl's Jr. before Five Guys.
IHOP. I actually like IHOP a lot.
I only had it once and I was a kid, so I barely remember it.
Me and my fiance
I like
go there.
pancakes.
Me and my fiance go there, not on a regular basis, but frequently.
I don't know.
I would put it here. Above Denny's.
B tier? Okay.
Above Denny's.
Yeah.
In and out.
Garbage. F. I fucking hate In and Out. It is garbage.
Everything's above Starbucks, at least.
Fair.
Yeah, yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if there was no food on earth and there was In and Out and Starbucks, I would go to In-N-Out.
Jack in the Box.
If there was no food on left but Starbucks, I would die.
I would rather kill myself, yeah. Jack.
Yeah.
Also, subpar burgers.
I've never had it, so I don't know.
Subpar. It's not great. I'd rather go anywhere else.
I just
about.
know them from the undercooked burgers thing from a few years ago in the
Jeez.
80s when they killed a bunch of kids because they did medium rare burgers.
Ugh. I've been there on a few
Aren't
occasions.
they the reason why? Aren't
Yeah.
they the reason why that they can't cook it that low anymore?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they do their burgers with some pink in the middle. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Jersey Max.
D tier.
Where?
I don't like Jersey Mike's or Jimmy John's. Below Chipotle, I guess.
Below. Okay. And Jimmy John's you'd probably put there
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, so when I was in the military, sometimes we'd get like catered chow for the day, and they would
boy.
either get us Jimmy John's or Jersey Mike's, and I just got really tired of eating their subs. Like
Yeah.
there were times where I would rather eat an MRE than those subs. So.
Okay. KFC.
KFC, yeah, B tier.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, better than Church's, I'd say. Little Caesars.
Yeah.
Uh,
I would put it above IHOP.
you think so?
I like Little Caesars.
I like Domino's better though.
Yes.
It is.
I like
It is shit,
I like
but
Domino's
like
better.
good
What-
shit.
When you're drunk, oh my god, when you're drunk, Little Caesars is fucking amazing.
$5 hot and
Yeah,
ready.
It's not over. And here's the thing: so Little Caesars is the one fast food that isn't overpriced.
Yeah.
All right, so controversial.
Feeds
Long
you
John
for
Silver's.
weeks.
Y'all know about the fast food fish
Never
place.
had it.
Yeah, but y'all know about it.
Never had it.
Nope, never heard it. Or I've never had it. I've heard of it.
Yeah. Right above Denny's. Actually, I've not had it in years,
Alright.
but from what I remember from it, it was actually like pretty good. Mackie D's. I used to work here.
I don't like them.
Yeah,
There's
but
nothing good about them.
but the price for what you get.
Papacy.
The price for what you get.
Not
Not
anymore.
anymore. They're super expensive. They're like, I would say maybe mid D tier. Like
Compared to
I honestly think
compared to everything else here, they're probably like the cheapest thing you got. Just about.
no, Little Caesars, dude. Little Caesars has you beat. You can't
Well,
beat Little Caesars.
Domino's though is better.
No, Domino's is garbage.
Fuck you.
Kind of agree with Delta here.
No,
Yeah.
Domino's.
I can't lie.
Garbage.
When was the
So-
last time
so
y'all
which one are
had
you gonna do
Domino's?
then? Are you gonna wait like a week ago?
Okay.
So are you gonna which one are you gonna put in the best tier? Culver's or Domino's? 'Cause
No,
there can only be one.
no, I can do multiple. Cane's is my top, and
Well,
I
no, but we're overriding you, and we're saying
I
or
guess what-
Kane, sorry. So we're
you've never
overriding
had
you.
it. You've never had it. You don't get opinion.
Well, I've had Domino's. Well, okay, then
I'm not-
I'm
I'm-
overriding you for Domino's in the best. So
Well, sure. Okay.
I'm willing to allow Canes for Culver's. We'll do some quid pro quo here. I guess
Well,
I
no,
don't. Follow this
I
happening.
don't give a fuck about either because I've never had either. But I've had Domino's, and Domino's is like
I fucking love
it's like
Domino's. Domino's is
maybe-
my
it's-
pizza place.
it's maybe above Chipotle, barely.
Fuck that.
Really?
No,
That's sad.
my Domino's is. I guess the one that my local Domino's is fucking fantastic and makes my shit perfect every fucking time. And the garlic crust
See, the
on
reason-
fucking
the
Domino's is king.
The reason why I don't like Domino's is because like maybe 10 years ago their price was okay, but their price is super expensive.
Yeah, but
and
then
their
they
quality has
have-
not increased.
But they have
Well,
constant deals.
we've already established that's everything.
Yeah, and they
no,
have
they're like
they
I
also
said,
have
Little
constant
Caesar's not that
deals.
way, and also
and Domino's has constant deals
okay.
as well. And that like I literally
I'm
got
gonna be-
like
so Hot Lips Pizza in Portland, Oregon makes a way better pizza, literally probably 10 times better than Domino's, and it is lower price.
you know
Who
what?
and
eats
it-
Domino's pizza?
And Hot Lips is a gourmet pizza place. Like it's pizza by the slice.
You know, there's one other pizza place I would say is better than Domino's. Only one, and it's Firehouse Pizza.
It-
Unironically.
It doesn't take much to be. Okay, well I've never had it, so you can
Well-
if you want to throw it up there, I don't care.
Well, I had it when I was living in Lawton, Oklahoma. Actually, there's another place over there. It's Mears. Y'all should definitely, if you're going over to Lawton, you should go there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I've never had Firehouse. I've never had the other two that are at the top of the list, but I have had Domino's, and Domino's is garbage.
I mean,
Garbaggio.
I fucking actually I like Domino's a lot.
Okay, so where are we gonna put it?
Well,
'Cause
that
I'd
comes
say
later.
it's
That comes
D
later.
tier, maybe above.
That comes later.
Maybe above Chipotle.
Anyways,
Okay.
noodles. Y'all had Noodles Company. So one of y'all did.
Never had it.
You had
Nope,
it.
I never had it.
I've had it.
Yeah. What are you thinking?
It's yeah.
It's yeah.
Oh boy.
Everything can.
I'm D tier. Yeah. Right there. That seems good.
Panda Express. I've had.
It's okay, I guess.
Garbage.
not.
It's like if people. So I'm the only one who's had it.
No, I've had it. Panda Express.
No,
I've had
F tier.
I've had Panda
Oh.
Express. No.
No.
Yeah.
No, I would go to Del Taco before Panda Express.
Well, then we can put it right here. I'd rather go to Panda
Okay.
Express than Burger King.
Yeah.
Panera and their charged lemonades that give
I
people
would-
heart
I would-
attacks.
I would rather go to a hospital than Panera because at least at the hospital I can get treatment for eating shitty food.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. Is this?
Yeah.
There we go.
No, In-N-Out is worse than
Yeah, and now it's
Panera.
worse.
I would rather eat
and,
Panera.
And now it's worse. Yeah.
I would. Yeah,
Papa John's.
I would rather eat Panera. They're pretty good. I
Why-
like them.
why
They're
is-
like Little Caesars and Papa John's are like on this list my two favorite pizza places
Why is his face
I think I
fucking
agree.
scratched out?
because they fired him.
Oh, they fired the
So
CEO.
they fired Papa John's.
They fired
They
CEO.
fired Papa John.
They fired Papa John. So,
Papa John's isn't bad.
there we go.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I'd be okay with that.
Pizza Hut.
Oh, and Pizza Hut's okay too. Pizza Hut's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah. No, not the top. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Popeyes.
I've never had churches, but Popeyes. Well, I'm not black, so I can't say they're the best, but they're okay.
I grew up in Louisiana. They were all over the place.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest. I'd rather eat KFC than Popeyes.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna be honest.
That's what I've heard from people.
And I grew up in Louisiana. I grew up there. I fucking know this shit. This is my place, and I just can't.
Maybe
I can't accept it. It's
maybe
not my boy.
Maybe the top of seed tier.
Top of C. I'm okay with that. Yeah.
No, actually, no. I would go to Carl's Jr. before Popeyes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Qdoba.
garbage.
I've had it.
Where's
I've had it
Chipotle? They deserve to be next to each other.
Yeah, it next to the Chipotle.
I actually like.
I would rather have
They're
Chipotle
the
over
same
Qdoba.
thing.
I actually like Qdoba
Really,
more.
they're like, yeah.
I like Qdoba.
Oh, okay,
Although I
fine.
put Qdoba in like
I'm still
middle
going-
B or C, but
How about the end of C tier?
Deal.
Then?
I'm okay with that because I'd rather eat Qdoba than
Fair.
most of these places.
Okay.
Quiznos, not had it.
Never.
But
No.
he
had it.
That's tasty. B tier,
where?
low B tier.
Lobby?
Yeah, below McDonald's, I think. Yeah.
Schlotzsky's. I've had it.
Never had it.
Okay. I fucking don't like it. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, it
Finally,
has a
Firehouse
crappy
has a
sounding
buddy.
name.
Subway.
There's I only get 2 subs from there, so
I don't. The single sub that I
Put it-
always get, they always make it just right. So
yeah, somewhere in there.
yeah.
Okay, that works.
Yeah.
Taco
Good
Bell.
memories from high school, I guess.
Taco Bell.
Starbucks above In-N-Out and Panera. It's awful. Taco Bell is literally no. Taco Bell is fucking terrible.
I actually like
The
Taco
only
Bell.
people who like Taco Bell are the only people who like Taco Bell are white women. So you've just outed yourself as a white woman.
I do have a vagina. Yes, I agree. I am a woman.
God, Taco Bell is my friend. She converted to Islam, and she is still white enough to like Taco Bell.
Are you
and she's a
implying
white
white women can't be Islamic? This is
No, I'm implying
is
that if you convert
racist.
to Islam, you're brown,
oh, this
and
is
she's
horrible.
still white enough to.
server mute for you. That's inappropriate.
Head first in the wood chipper.
Less speaking privilege.
But no, actually, me and my fiance, we go to Taco Bell every once in a while with one of our other friends before work, and the one that
We lost you.
I go to Taco Bell.
Hello.
Fuck.
Oh, you guys muted my headphones, didn't you?
Oh
Wow, you fucking assholes.
no, I actually go to Taco Bell. Not on a frequent basis, but like at least once every 2 to 3 weeks, and we actually like it. The one we go to is actually really nice.
What do you get?
So
Cheesy gordita crunch.
actually no. I get the Doritos
Did you know that
Locos.
gordita means like fat woman or fat girl?
Yeah, so I get the Doritos Locos, and sometimes I get the soft taco or just a burrito, like a regular burrito. Claire, she gets my fiance. She gets the like the nachos, and then she also gets me and her get sometimes
Crunchwrap Supreme.
no, actually we get the little cheese, like it's literally just a piece of cheese and a tortilla that's wrapped, and it's like a little cheesy bite thing.
Oh, the cheese roll up.
Yeah, like a
It
little
is,
cheesy
it
bite.
is too bad that Maddie isn't here because Maddie would literally be putting it at the top. She'd be like, "We need to put this at the best tier, the top
Right
of the best
there, right
tier."
there, right?
No, No, fuck that.
At
Fuck
le-
that.
at
No,
least-
fuck that.
At least bottom of D, right? Is that fair?
Okay, fine.
Cool.
I
Waffle
can live with
House.
that.
Waffle House.
The top of the best. And I will veto everyone for that. Waffle House is not just food.
You ready?
It is not a place to get a meal.
I'm gonna veto your veto.
It is an experience.
I'm gonna veto your veto.
No, Waffle House is amazing. Oh my god, going to Waffle House at like 2:30 in the morning, where there's a drug deal going on in the parking lot, and you're like, is there gonna be a shootout? I don't know. It's fucking. Or you go there and there's people fighting at the cash register, and you're like, hey, yeah, I just want like chicken and waffles or whatever.
But like,
it's fucking
that's
amazing.
But like that's what people say about fucking where is it? Popeyes, right? That's what people say about Popeyes. Like, yeah, if you're in a rich neighborhood going to Popeyes, it's fucking shit. You gotta go to like the poorest of the poor fucking neighborhood to get the best chicken. That's what people say about fucking
No, but
Popeyes and
the thing
KFC.
with
That's McDonald's for us. We have a
But the thing-
McDonald's in the
thing with-
hood.
The
Go ahead.
thing with Waffle House is that you could be in the richest of rich place on earth, and you go to the Waffle House in that neighborhood, and it will still be ghetto as fuck, no matter what.
All right.
You could literally go to a Waffle House in a gated community, and it will have a drug deal going on in the freaking parking lot.
All right, we got Wendy's, right? What do y'all think of Wendy's?
Uh,
Eh,
No. F.
like F, yeah, F.
Whataburger.
I had it once, and it was in Texas, and it is one of the many reasons I hate Texas. F.
You would literally only find them in Texas, just about.
Yeah, F tier. They're garbage.
Better
F
than
tier.
Wendy's? Are they better than Wendy's?
Maybe barely.
So then D tier.
I'd be
Cool.
willing to put them above Wendy's. No. They go to F tier. They're garbage.
All right, White Castle.
Above, yeah.
White Castle.
So I have a funny story about this. Back when I played Arma, I played with these Europeans. The call sign for their headquarters, for our headquarters element, was White Castle, and I was like, okay, whatever. Come to find out, the reason they call themselves that is because they came to America, got high, and went to a White Castle, which is what you do apparently. And so I was like, oh, okay. So one time I was in the South and I encountered a White Castle, and I went there and it was garbage.
I actually like White
So-
Castle. I actually do. I don't mind White Castle too much. I'd probably put it in C tier.
Okay. Low C tier. Maybe above, yeah.
Zaxby's. We actually have a local one, and it's actually
Never-
one of the better
never had her.
places. It's actually one of the better places. Yeah. Sonic.
I'm not gonna eat you, man.
Uh,
I've never had it.
I used to work there, and
D tier.
I allegedly stole hundreds of dollars of food. Only allegedly. Only.
Well, actually, guys, my name is Sonic, so your restaurant is mine.
I
I just transitioned the food for employee morale.
I'm gonna be honest. It's not the fucking
I've
greatest.
never had it, so
It's not the best, but it's.
Yeah.
I'd put it above Qdoba though. It's kind of mid. Chick-fil-A,
yeah.
Okay.
Low B tier.
high B.
Okay, I can live with that. I can live with that.
That's acceptable.
Yeah, Steak and Shake. I actually love this place.
Never had it.
I actually love it.
I think I had it once.
It's so for what you
Oh.
get. I literally for Steak and Shake, I could get a whole meal, like it's either a double or a triple, burger, with fries, like a large fry and like a large like shake or whatever for like $12.
Okay.
Which
Sonic's eating his body mass and greasy burger right here.
true, but like for what you get, it's actually not overpriced. It's probably one of the few places on here I would consider like fair price for what you get.
Okay.
But
Okay. You don't
in
need to sell it.
fairness, you also called McDonald's fair price, and a Big Mac is like
No,
$6.
I
now.
wouldn't say fair price. Fairer than most of
No,
these
it's like
other most
$10 now.
most of these
Is it?
other
Okay.
places.
Hold on.
Most of these other places, it's fairer than most of these other places. Steak and Shake is actually, I'd consider one of the few that is actually true fair in pricing.
Okay, I realize Five Guys and Chipotle are like dead center on my screen right now, and that kind of proves your point. So I'll agree. I'll agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking at a Big Mac in Corvallis, Oregon, where I live, is $12.19
Holy
right
shit.
now. A double quarter pounder with cheese, $13.19.
Let me
20-piece chicken McNuggets, $9.69. Like McDonald's is overpriced even amongst overpriced fast food.
let me
Okay.
I'm gonna look at
Okay.
my area because I
Not
think my area
considered.
has different pricing. $0 delivery fee. That's fucking wild. Also, please turn on location. Fuck
Yeah,
you.
when you said $6, I was like, for a half a Big Mac. So
Fucking
Well, there we go. That makes sense. I don't know. I don't eat at McDonald's frequently, so
well, I don't either, but like I just know that McDonald's is not
no,
the tender place where poor people go to eat. It's where drunk college kids go to get food on
or
their mom and dad's credit card.
or Donald
Yep.
Trump.
Yeah, you have to be a billionaire to eat at McDonald's.
Anyways,
we had a McDonald's in the hood by our college, and I walked there one night at like 2 a.m. You know, big study night, and the only guys working only spoke Spanish. The fire alarm was going off, and it was full of smoke,
So-
which made it interesting. But there was a homeless guy walking around with a rusty fork that he'd menacingly point at people and ask for
Nice.
food.
so
Ah,
Delta, you're
it was
gonna hate this.
experience.
In my area, a Big Mac is $5.19.
Really
Yeah,
interesting.
and the meal's
I do have a much higher.
yeah. The meal is $8.99.
I have a much
but,
higher minimum wage though than you do.
Yeah, the meal is $8.99, but the Big Mac itself is $5.19, and then
Yeah.
and then a
Well, I
cheeseburger
don't hate
is
you. I just hate minimum wage. We should get rid of it.
yeah, and then cheeseburger is $2.19. So there is no dollar menu, but there's in my area at least.
They haven't had a
McDonald's,
dollar menu in a while.
yeah, it's been like they basically got rid of that almost ASAP. Like it, but no, like daily double
Anyways.
$3.39. So McDonald's, at least in my area, is actually relatively cheap. That's what I'm going off of is my area because that's all I know.
Oh, okay.
And compared to
Oh,
these
okay.
other
Well, come
places,
to Oregon sometime.
compared to these other places, McDonald's is one of the cheaper options in my area.
Okay. Well, fair enough.
Okay,
Fair enough. I live in a
reasonable.
libcuck society. So.
Domino's. I still haven't used my fucking Trump, and you have, Delta.
Yeah, really shitty that you did that. So you're gonna put it above Waffle House, aren't you?
No, I'll put it right there.
No. Okay. Thank God.
Nothing's.
Thank God. Okay. I'll not come to your house now. So.
Although I want to do this.
No. Waffle House with a
Alright,
bullet.
Firehouse Subs. I'm the only one that's actually had it.
Never had it.
Best pizza place. Best. pizza
Okay,
place.
fine. Hey, well then Domino's, no. Domino's cannot be, we cannot have two pizza places in the best.
Fine. It's better than every other pizza
can live with
place.
that.
It's better than every other pizza place.
Okay. we
Minus
can live with
Firehouse
that.
Subs. Yeah.
Even though it's
think-
garbage.
All right.
I
Okay.
think I can stand by this list. Yeah.
Other
Yeah.
than this category, which we have heavy disagreements on, the rest of this is pretty good. Minus this because
As long as I get Culver's, yeah.
yeah. Culver's is nice. Yeah. I mean, I'd agree with you. Culver's
It's better than nice.
Culver's is actually
Watch your mouth.
No, actually, I like Culver's too. I'd say Steak and Shakes.
I'll come over there
So-
and I'll clap your cheeks if you don't watch. Watch it.
So Culver's burgers are better, but Steak and Shakes fries are better.
Bullshit.
I'm being dead fucking
You've never
serious.
eaten at Culver's.
I
You've never eaten at Culver's.
I literally
This
work
is-
right
this
next
is-
to one. I work right next to one. I go there on my break.
Well, okay, I work next to a funeral home, and that doesn't mean that I've
That's not a
ever
good
been
place to go eat
disappointed.
So, actually-
that doesn't mean I've ever had a wake.
So this could out me to those fucking autistic people that Delta, but I work at a Target, and right next to where I work is a Walmart, and right in front of that Walmart that I'm literally like next door to is the Steak and Shake, and then right next to where I work at Target is the Culver's. They're literally like neighbors. So I go to both of these quite frequently, and I know them pretty fucking well.
Okay.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm happy with the list. I will not fight anymore.
I stand by that.
Yeah. Now to send this to. Are you still in that one chat? Because I left after he got kicked.
What chat? In Liberty Lounge?
Yeah. The place that shall not be named.
Not
Yeah.
to dox them. Yeah, the place that I just named. Yeah. Liberty Lounge. Sorry, not Liberty Lounge. Liberty Lounge.
Liberty Lounge.
Yeah.
Yeah. But are you still there, Delta?
Yes, I can send it there.
Yeah, because I left.
Political figures.
Yeah, remember that was our political test, our political thing. Remember?
Oh, I thought that was Kanye. I realized that's not Kanye.
I
West.
sent that to them, and they're like, "Why is?" They were like, "Who's that guy on the right?" I'm like, "Oh, that's Second Thought." And they're like, and then I explained it, and they were like, "Oh, well, that explains a lot." And I'm like, "This Hitler's next to Kanye. Like, this list is a joke," which makes me wonder if they actually still are actually neo-Nazis.
They might still be. Yeah.
They are.
And by they might still be, I'm saying like they've basically confirmed that they are. They just pretend that they're not.
Anyways, I sent it there. It's in the main podcast thing. Chat.
In the chat?
In the chat, yeah.
No, why'd you
Jen.
do that?
So I don't fucking dox the chat. Well, I'm still streaming.
Dox me? Oh.
Yeah, what's your name again, Chris?
Okay. Oh, sounds fired. Okay.
Don't worry. His girlfriend already outed him.
Maddie's not my girlfriend.
She will be.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You can see the lips curling with disgust.
If we, well, she's dating someone who lives in Portland, and so yeah, that's not happening.
All right. Whatever you say, buddy. Anyways, y'all ready to end it there?
Here's what I say.
Anybody ready to end it there?
Yeah.
Book reports? Anyone?
Okay. I'll go first. So after we talked about, sorry, like it went dark for a second. So after we talked about the Gaza thing and we were talking about like the Gaza insurgency, McGuire, I was inspired. I'm gonna re-recommend Dune because Frank Herbert's description of how the Fremen fight is basically how the Palestinians fight, which is really dirty.
Fair enough.
Really, really fucking dirty.
Fair enough. And anything, Sonic? You got a recommendation here?
I literally always forget we do this, and I never have a book ready. I also don't read a lot. Is my problem. I also don't read a lot, so I don't ever have
Sonic
books.
confirmed illiterate?
Yes. I did grow up in Louisiana, so I mean, yeah.
That's unfortunate. Well, you better pull something out of your ass right now. I mean, we can wait.
Rethink the Holocaust? I don't fucking know. I don't know what that's about. I just looked up Israel Palestine books, and this is what I fucking got. It just showed me like a couple books.
Okay, so Sonic's recommendation is look up the Israel Palestine thing.
Just actually, you know what? Read the entire history of Israel and Palestine. Just read the entire history of of Arabia. Just go.
The definitive anthology. Is there a language I should look for? Or?
Yeah, there's a couple. You could just any fucking Arabic. You got fucking I don't know. My fucking drawing blanks on languages for some reason. Aramaic for fucking old Jesus.
There we go. Okay.
Old Jesus. You have Arabic. I don't know why my brain wants to say fucking Hindu, but I guess Hindu. I don't fucking know.
I'm sure there's some Hindu scholars. Honestly, I mean, there's a lot of people over there. So
yeah, you just learn every language and then read the entire history of Israel Palestine, and why the Germans fucked over everything and everyone from their mere existence.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's a defensible position.
Cool. What about you, McGuire? You got a book?
Oh no, I don't. I can't read either.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I can go for what's on my desk. There we go.
All right, hold on. I gotta fucking
read off my tax returns.